Bills Mafia, it's finally here. Live coverage of night one of the 2026 NFL Draft. We are talking all things Bills tonight as the picks roll in, all that and more. But first,
welcome to the Air Raid Hour, a Cover One Network podcast. Here are your hosts, Judge Mathis and Tilt Money.
welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to our night one coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft. I know we got some tough competition tonight, Dave. We are going up against the Buffalo Sabres, who are currently in their first intermission against the Boston Bruins, all knotted up at 0. I just switched my laptop in front of me over to the draft so I know like when we can be announcing these picks and stuff. So I'm going to need the comment section filling me in with all the happenings in this Sabres game as it rolls into period 2, as it rolls into period 3. Hopefully we get the result that we want, but tonight is the night that we have been waiting for, even though the Sabres kind of want to throw a wrench into it, stealing the spotlight a little bit, and that is the 2026 NFL Draft. So Dave, I'm going to start with you, and let's just roll right into the conversation here tonight. What's your best case scenario? We walk out of tonight, we hit the end stream button. We sit down, we're talking when nobody else is around. It's just the two of us on screen. What's the best case scenario that's going to have you happy when that conversation happens?
I think the best case scenario for me personally is adding an impact defender or trading out of the first round and acquiring more picks, maybe an early second as we head into tomorrow, plus maybe even 2027 picks potentially, right? Depending on sort of what the situation unfolds with Ty Simpson. Maybe there's a team that wants to come up and maybe the Bills can get a better haul for that pick 26 than we think. I don't know that the Bills are going to get a great haul for that pick, depending on who's on the board. I think we have to set some realistic expectations there. But I think ideally, right, one of two things. We get an impact defender, an impact defender of sort of my preference, I guess I would say, right? So like a Caden McDonald type, even a Cassius Howell, like someone that's going to impact this defense right away. I wouldn't be thrilled, I'll say, if it was a guy like a TJ Parker or a Peter Woods. I know those have been kind of popular names and thrown around in mock drafts for the Bills. That would kind of fall a little flat for me. So I would say, an impact defender sort of my preference that I would want, or a trade out with a decent return on that pick 26 and potentially picking early tomorrow night.
Yeah, I to me, I'm struggling right now because I find it very hard to believe that there is going to be a player on the board at 26 where if we stick and pick, I'll leave tonight like feeling emphatically excited. I
will say this.
Really if it's not a trade back, I probably will leave tonight kind of like disappointed knowing all the names that are going to come off the board between 26 and 91.
It's possible. And I will say too, something that could get me actually a little bit more excited maybe even is like, look, Caden McDonald seems like a really good pick in my mind for the Bills. There are other defenders on the edge and on the defensive line that look to be good picks. I mean, there's been some wild cards thrown around today. Like it could be like a Jacob Rodriguez in round one for the Bills.
Jacob Rodriguez has entered the chat today. Thanks to
he has entered
Caller.
the chat. And someone who hasn't really entered the chat, but it was on my radar and who was on my no matter what list, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is a name also that I would be pretty excited about if the Bills ended up deciding to go safety in the first round and going with EMW there at the end of the first.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And we got a super chat from Justin Tindall, and I think that lines up perfectly with the next thing I want to talk about here. He says, interested to see if there's a philosophy change now that McDermott ain't around. Does Bean think it's more of his show? So thank you, Justin, for the super chat. Appreciate it. appreciate anyone who wants to sort of throw us a super chat this evening. Whatever you guys want to talk about tonight, if you throw that super chat out there, 100% guarantees we will get to it. We appreciate all you guys who support us in that way. And if you don't, that's fine too. We'll still probably pull a lot of your comments up over the course of this evening. But I posted this tweet this morning because you know me, I'm just like a toxic son of a bitch. Like that's just who I am at heart. And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself with the Peter Schrager mock of Peter Woods to the Bills.
Yeah.
It just got me thinking like, that's such a Brandon Beane pick. And there are 3 players that stick out to me as Brandon Beane picks. And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with these 3. Well, one of them. There's something wrong with one of them. I will be very, very disappointed if it's one of them. The other 2 I'll probably be fine with. He mocked Peter Woods to the Bills. It's such a Brandon Beane thing to do. Peter Woods is the first one. Kendrick Folk is the second one. And Peter Woods' teammate, TJ Parker, is the third player. Guys who, where if you looked at a 2026 NFL mock draft that analysts post the day after the 2025 draft, you would have seen all 3 of those names like in the top 15, top 10.
Yeah.
That's kind of like Brandon Beane's sort of go-to. And I can just picture him drafting Peter Woods or Kendrick Folk or TJ Parker. He'll just get up to the podium and be like, you know, it's really hard to pick at 26. We're such a good football team that we're just constantly at the end of the first round year after year after year. So when you look at it, we're just really taking advantage. We believe in their junior tape or their sophomore tape or whatever that was when they would have been a top 15 pick. You know, like you heard it with Gregor Rousseau and it worked out. You heard it with Deion Walker and it worked out. But you've also heard it with names like Kyrie Elam and it didn't work out for the Buffalo Bills. So it's just such a very Brandon Beane type of thing to do. So when when Peter Schrager mocked that, it just struck a chord with me like, bro, that's probably what's going to play out tonight. We're going to pick one of those 3 at pick 26 because those are the 3 Brandon Beaniest picks out there.
They are. And just a reminder, please don't tip the picks in the chat. We will announce them as they kind of get tipped in on X and what have you. So we will announce them probably before the broadcast does, but for the sake of the chat.
I will tip the first pick. I think it's going to be Fernando Mendoza here.
Yeah. But look, I mean, free agency, right? That was kind of our first big clue into was there going to be like a really wholesale different approach on the roster construction, right? From Brandon Beane and Joe Brady. And we traded for DJ Moore. That seemed like a very Brandon Beane in the past type of thing to do to me. That didn't seem like a real move away from philosophies we've taken in the past. The signing of Bradley Chubb also didn't really feel like hugely different than the types of signings we have made in the past. Obviously different fit schematically into the defense, but the type of signing, it didn't really strike me as something that was like, I would say out of the ordinary. I don't know how you felt, but that didn't seem like super out of the ordinary to me from a philosophy standpoint. The draft is now our next big clue into how much of an influence Sean McDermott had on the roster construction, especially during the draft process, right? If we come at it tonight, and we won't really know until we see the totality of the draft, but if we come at it tonight with the feeling like that was really a Brandon Beane type of pick that we've seen in the past, then it kind of makes me wonder, right? Like how much influence did Sean McDermott really have? But if we see something sort of out of left field that we really wouldn't have expected in years past, like the name Emmanuel McNeil-Warren I mentioned already, that kind of comes to mind to me as a pick that if we made that type of pick, that wouldn't have seemed like a pick we would have made in the past. So we will see.
One break here from Bills centric talk. And I promise you most of this evening will be Bills centric talk, but we're going to intermittently talk about some other things as we go. The thought just crossed my mind, and I don't know why it hasn't until just now, but I just realized that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to have a quarterback room with Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza in it.
Yeah.
I need cameras in that room. Like that is going to be a show, like an absolute show with the two of those two in a room together, just like the nice offs that they're going to have. That's going to be, they need to start a podcast. That's going to be absolutely incredible. All right. Back to the Bill specific talk. I know this isn't sort of flowing with what we were talking about So I'm going to transition a little bit. There's one take that I meant to shoot off on Twitter today and I forgot. So I just want to I want to get your thoughts on it, and I want to get it into the open so I can take credit for it if it's something that turns out into fruition. And Boston just scored a goal, unfortunately. So 1-0 Bruins early in the second period. I have no idea how the goal was scored, but it was scored. I just got the update on my phone. All right, so here's the take. I'm looking at draft prospects, right? And I'm going through and I was finalizing my big board. I love Avian Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. Now, ESPN has mocked him to the Bills at some points at pick 26, and I've kind of laughed at it a little bit. And I still do a little bit to a certain degree. And there's other prospects that I really like Keontae Scott out of Miami. But I'm looking at some of these prospects, like we haven't even talked about Keith Abney on the show. I love Keith Abney, right?
Yeah, I mentioned him like one time.
This is a really good nickel draft, right? There's a lot of good nickels. Chandler Rivers later on in the draft. This is a really good nickel draft. Now, once you get into the second or the third or the fourth round, it's just you're not taking a nickel just to take a nickel. But if the Bills are presented with an opportunity to take an Avian Terrell, if they're presented with a chance to take a Keontae Scott, like a nickel, a true nickel at any point in this draft, at first I was like, no, we got D. Alford. We're not going to sign, or we're not going to draft a nickel. But I really started to think about it this morning. And I look at D. Alford's contract. D. Alford's contract is not crazy. If he is a high-end backup who can also return kicks and punts, that is not a crazy contract. So if the Bills were to pull the trigger on a Keontae Scott or an Avian Terrell, or like maybe say later a Keith Abney or something like that, it wouldn't shock me like maybe it would shock some, because that would slide D. Alford, who played a ton of games last year on the boundary and filled in quite nicely in Atlanta. He can be your boundary 3, he can be your nickel 2, and he can return punts, which is something the Buffalo Bills need. So it really just kind of clicked with me today. I didn't put any nickels on my board. I have Keontae Scott on my board. I have Avian Terrell on my board. I did not go through and add the Keith Abneys of the world because there have been no like rumored interest with the Buffalo Bills. But I'm starting to think, man, I should have put more nickels on my Bills specific big board, because I think that is actually something that could maybe possibly, if the board falls a certain way, play out tonight or tomorrow night.
I think it's possible. I don't think it will be tonight. I do think it's possible later in the draft. I would say that I think it's more likely that if they're going to go corner, they would go for a boundary corner just because they signed D. Alford, and they probably envision when they signed him that he would be the starter to replace Taron Johnson. However, if the Bills do end up keeping all of these picks and maybe they do find some value in a guy like Keith Abney later, maybe on a day, like early day 3, if he's sitting around, the Bills have the multiple 5th round picks, right? Like then, yeah, I could potentially see that. I think a lot of times what happens is we pretty much get focused on like, what are the team needs here? And like, we kind of gloss over certain positions, and to some extent we need to do that, right? Because there's only so many picks to go around, and the Bills do have a lot of holes to fill. But if you're at the point in the draft where it's like, hey, I'm just going to try to take the best player, and that best player happens to be a nickel, and you feel like you can do some other things with D. Alford, and maybe you think you can get some other type of play out of him besides just being strictly your starting nickel corner, then sure. I would be shocked if it was someone like Avian Terrell tonight. I wouldn't be super surprised if it was a guy like Pons or Abney or someone like that.
Pons is a boundary corner to me, though. I know he's the size of a nickel, but I have him on my big board at 20, I believe. No, I have him on my big board even higher than that. I have him on my big board at 10.
Wow.
I love D'Angelo Pons. I think he could play the boundary in the NFL. He's just a dog, dog.
Yeah, and he's probably going to be he probably will be in that range between our picks, right? Yeah. Where we're not going to really have a chance to get him.
The rumors are, like, again, who knows? There's rumors everywhere, but I'm that psychopath who's just been sitting on Twitter all day. The rumor is now D'Angelo Pons might be the second corner taken in this draft.
Well, and then in which case that would
go in the first round. He might not even be on the board in the Bills pick.
Yeah.
If the rumor mills were pretty wild. Some promises were made on the internet today and by some people that we're going to see some fireworks. So it'll be interesting. So speaking of interesting, I printed out 4 mock drafts, and I have them all sit next to each other just because I don't pay attention to mocks. I don't pay attention to that rumor mill circus. Like, one of the best things I've done for my mental health the last couple of years is just stopped with all the BS that is spewed in the draft. I look at the players. I think about the Bills. I don't think about anything else. I can't even turn on ESPN. I was so excited when ESPN was like, we're going to have a daily NFL draft show. And then I turned it on and it was just them doing mock drafts every day. Like I unrecorded it and I never watched another episode. But
and the pick is in for the Jets.
So I got Kuiper, Schrager, Jeremiah, McShay's mocks all in front of me next to each other. They're all 1 for 1 so far. Fernando Mendoza, and they all have David Bailey going second to the Jets. And the rumors around why the Jets are taking David Bailey is absolutely wild. And I will get to those rumors if David Bailey is the pick. But the pick is in. We're watching it on the screen now. Not 100% sure if it's already been tipped on.
It's been announced, and we can probably just go ahead and announce
go for it.
It is David Bailey to the Jets, number 2 overall.
So did you see the reasoning behind why they took David Bailey and not Arvell Reese? Have you seen I don't want to say it's unreliable, but this came from some like semi-reliable people. Owner Woody Johnson believed that Aaron Glenn is not going to be his head coach in 2027.
Oh, yeah.
And that he didn't want to draft a player like Arvell Reese that he wouldn't be sure about when they changed coaching staffs. He didn't think Arvell Reese was the kind of player where you take him and then you switch coaches a year later because he might not be a fit for everybody. So that's just absolutely wild. If Woody, and it wouldn't shock me. That's how awful Woody Johnson is. It would not shock me in the least if that is a fair and accurate statement that they took David Bailey because they felt like he could fit into multiple types of defenses, and that Aaron Glenn might not be their head coach a year from now.
But yet somehow, I kind of,
I want to believe it. I want
to believe it. I also just generally think that I probably would have taken David Bailey over Arvell Reese as well, anyway. So yeah, it's whatever. I think if you listen to people probably don't listen to ESPN radio much anymore, but I listened the other night to Freddie Coleman, and he had Sean Merriman on, and he was talking about David Bailey and how, the concerns about him in defending the run were overblown because the defending the run from a size perspective, he's 6'3", 250. Like, he can defend the run, and it's just going to be about kind of the coaching staff getting him mentally ready to do that and coaching him up a bit on that. So to me, I always kind of liked David Bailey in this spot for the Jets. I think it's a good pick for them, but those reasons are kind of just wild.
Jason M comes in and says you can make up any rumor about Woody Johnson as possible. Actually, Diana Rossini tipped the pick about 30 minutes ago. She was already on this David Bailey. I wonder how she got that information.
Oh, my gosh.
What's going on? No, I'm just kidding. That story's wild, by the way. And Mike Vrabel taking absolutely no accountability for it. He still has refused to acknowledge what he did is absolutely wild. But
I know. And I had that press conference tonight where pretty much nothing happened. So
yeah. My buddy just texted me. He's like, the draft starts here, and he's right. Right. So with the Arizona Cardinals are up, they can make a number of decisions. The rumor is they really like Jeremiah Love. And that wouldn't shock me. Mike LaFleur looking for his Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me because to me, unless you're willing to take a cut rate deal, I think it's going to be hard to trade back this year.
I
don't
agree.
think any teams are good. And we've had this conversation. I know you agree with me. I think it's going to be hard to trade back this year. Would it make sense for the Cardinals to trade back? 100%. You could stockpile more picks, use those picks to trade back up into the first round for Ty Simpson, also get an impact player along the offensive line or on defense. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see. Kuiper's got Arvell Reese, Schrager's got Jeremiah Love, Dale Jeremiah's got it New Orleans trading up for Arvell Reese, and Todd McShay's got Arvell Reese. So 3 guys think Arvell Reese is going here with this next pick. He's probably the top player left on the board.
It probably is. And look, I know this is not going to stop you from drafting Jeremiah Love, but they did bring in Tyler Algier in the offseason. I know.
Restructure James Conner.
Yeah. So it's they're kind of, I wouldn't say they're set at running back, but that would be a luxury pick for them, right? And a team that probably could use Arvell Reese more than they could use Jeremiah Love at this point. So we will see what they do. And I mean, what's your sense from Cardinals fans out there in Phoenix? Like, is there like
Cardinals fans want Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, well,
Like if you're not going to win, at least be fun. Like
true.
Cardinals fans want Jeremiah Love. Like go get a guy that you can just dump the ball off to and pepper with 25, 30 touches a game between carries and catches, and run that Mike LaFleur offense and just at least score some points and have a pulse, because you're going to get your ass kicked in that division this year. Your quarterback is Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett, who's currently holding out because guy didn't win a single start last year and he wants a pay raise.
Didn't he lead the league in passing yards per game? I mean,
he might, like, don't get me wrong. He's not 100% wrong. Like he's like, all right, if I'm gonna be the starter this year, can you at least pay me like a starter with all this extra cap money you have? But also like the audacity to do that, like when you didn't win a single freaking game last year, is wild. Ty Simpson's interesting, right? Ty Simpson, a lot of people linking him to the Cardinals. It's pretty pathetic that the Pittsburgh Steelers once again are hanging on the whims of Aaron Rodgers. Like you hired Mike McCarthy to lure Aaron Rodgers back. If you don't, you're settled with Mike McCarthy and Will Howard and Mason Rudolph. So obviously that's a situation where possibly you can see Ty Simpson go. I think the sleeper here, even though they did trade one of their ones and only have one first round pick now, and I know everyone wants to, put like Mekhi Lemon or Kenyon Sadiq there, or even like maybe not so much D'Angelo Pons anymore that they got a corner, but I have a funny feeling the Rams might be in on Ty Simpson as a succession plan to Matthew Stafford. So I would keep that name in mind when they pick in the middle of the first round. But the pick is in for the Arizona Cardinals, no trades. So all of these promises they were making us on social media that this draft is going to be wild, through 3 picks, each team is held. And I have not seen the pick tipped yet. I'm not on social media. I'm simply watching the broadcast, but I don't know. Our guy Draft Diamonds always tips picks. Let's see if he's got it.
All right. That's who I'm looking at right now. He hasn't put it up there yet. But I am checking.
I think Ari will probably tip picks. My sports update. Draft Diamond said y'all will love the Cardinals pick. That's all he's saying. He's not tipping it. So there we go. So the pick is in, and the Arizona Cardinals have taken a running back, 3rd overall, Jeremiah Love.
There we go. Okay,
so
Cardinals fans are going to be happy.
Peter Schrager is the only one perfect so far of the 4 that I'm looking at through 3 picks, as Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, and Todd McShay all had Arvo Reese. They're Jeremiah with a trade, which never occurred. So I like that dynamic. So this Arizona offense has a quarterback in Jacoby Brissett who just makes quick decisions. If it ends up being Gardner Minshew at some point, a quarterback that makes quick decisions, they still need a right tackle. Their right tackle right now is Elijah Wilkinson's, but you have Tyler Algier, who's really good in that zone scheme. You have Jeremiah Love, who can be a multifaceted back. I don't know what this means for James Conner. You obviously have Trey McBride. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think could make a comeback with a LaFleur coaching him, because he's kind of got that LaFleur type of vibe, that type of receiver. And then obviously Michael Wilson had his breakout this year. I do think the Cardinals need another guy more than just like a Kendrick Bourne. So I think they do need to add another receiver here at some point in either in the draft or in free agency after the draft. But I think the Cardinals just got a guy they can give the ball 25 times a game, 25 plus times a game. And he can sell tickets and he can be exciting and he will sell jerseys. This will make Michael Bidwell happy. I know the roster construction purists won't like it, but to me, and this has been my hot take from the beginning, if the Cardinals absolutely are dog water this year and get the 1st overall pick and luck themselves into, I don't want to get too far ahead, but like say Arch Manning is the prince that was promised, right? And he's the clear out consensus number 1 overall pick next year. Michael Bidwell, who's the cheapest dude in the NFL, one of the cheapest dudes in the NFL, who cannot get anybody. Like LaFleur was his 5th choice to be head coach, right? Like wild. You could Trey McBride, Jeremiah Love, Michael Wilson, like you could 1st overall pick, which could be Arch. You might be able to fire LaFleur after 1 year, make him one and done like you did with Steve Wilkes, fire Monty Ossenforth. And because of Arch and because of some of that talent you already have, Michael Bidwell, the cheapest dude in sports who can't recruit anybody, might actually be able to recruit a quality GM and head coach next offseason. he'd have to be willing to eat a bunch of money, which he's already eating with Jonathan Gannon and all that stuff. And now he's going to eat LaFleur's money. But so who knows? Because he's notoriously cheap. But I think there's a world, and my brother-in-law does not agree with me, that the Cardinals could luck into something here. And Justin Tyndall comes in and says, no running back has ever gotten 50 million guaranteed. That's a wild contract that they do have to give Jeremiah Love, though. They have to promise him a lot of money in this draft slot, more money than a running back has ever been promised.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much of a leash LaFleur will have in Arizona. I would imagine that he's going to have a longer leash than Gannon, in my opinion. Now, like,
at least it should be fun because they should at least have a pulse offensively. But he had to keep his own defensive coordinator, who every Cardinals fan was like, Jonathan Gannon, take the play calling over. Save yourself. Like, Jonathan Gannon might have saved his job if he just would have taken play calling from Nick Rawlis and taken the reins of that play calling and saved that defense, because Jacoby Brissett was playing good enough to win some games. So they had to stick with a defensive coordinator that nobody likes. They have an owner that is absolutely miserable, that nobody likes, facilities that nobody likes, and they hired their fifth choice for head coach. Like, it's not a great scene in Arizona right now, but at least they get to sell some jerseys and get some highlights with Jeremiah Love.
The Cardinals are, I mean, we're talking about like the West divisions, right? I mean, the Cardinals are the Raiders, right? In that division, like, they have such an uphill battle. The Raiders obviously were able to take Mendoza tonight, and time will tell whether that will get them out of the cellar of that division. But both the Raiders and the Cardinals, I mean, there's a reason they're both picking in the top three, right? They're in incredibly difficult divisions. Neither team had, had or maybe even still has a franchise quarterback. Like, we'll see about Mendoza. And it's just an uphill battle. Both of their, defenses obviously have issues. And like you said, the Cardinals will be fun. I think when you're looking at this pick for the Cardinals, this is a pick that says, yeah, we're just going to try to take the best players we can right now. It is unfortunate they don't have that other first anymore. But I think, like, at the end of the day, like, maybe a guy like Jeremiah Love will have more immediate impact than a guy like Arvell Reese for that team.
The Titans are picking here. The pick is in for the Titans. So this draft, where we're going to see unprecedented amount of trades, through 4 picks, no trades. So this is pretty wild here. The Titans are sticking and picking. There's Arvell Reese. There's Sonny Styles. They could go offensive line. They could go defense. It'll be really interesting to see. I don't know. Where if you were the GM of the Tennessee Titans and you had this pick here, where would you go?
I'll just want to one last thing on the Cardinals. My friend who's a Cardinals fan says, quote, mind-boggling, just shut the team down at this point, Jesus Christ.
The Titans pick is in.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I would go with Arvell Reese if I was the Titans here. But
it is to me, any other year, this is a guy who gets picked around 20 and he's getting picked in the top 5. Carnell Tate.
Oh, wow.
So giving Cam Ward his boundary, I don't even want to call him an X receiver, a really big boundary Z in Carnell Tate. Good player. I would have loved him, like, trading up in the 20s if this was a normal draft, but it's not a normal draft, and he goes number 4 overall.
See, that's an interesting one to me, right? Because if you're the Titans, I get what you're doing with Cam Ward, right? And I wonder, right, if the Titans would have taken Jeremiah Love, right? Because they had Tony Pollard, obviously, he was getting close to his 30 years old. Tajay Spears can stay healthy. Like, Jeremiah Love would have been a great pick to help that offense, more so than, in my opinion, than a Carnell Tate. I'm not saying Carnell Tate isn't going to come in and make a nice impact immediately, but they still have Calvin Ridley. They drafted Mayanor last year. They drafted Chimere Dike last year. They signed Wendell Robinson. So it's like, to me, this feels like a pick where you probably wanted to get Jeremiah Love here, and I don't know that you panicked a little by taking Carnell Tate here, but I probably would have added someone to the defense.
Yeah, somebody gave Brian Dable the card and said, go pick whoever you want.
Yeah.
But hey, they're investing in Cam Ward. You can't blame them. The linebackers would have been really interesting, but they're just all in on their quarterback. And I think probably what Brian Dable probably was probably saying in that room was, let's go get our quarterback every weapon he needs to be successful. Let's ride or die with our quarterback. Whatever else we got to fix, we'll fix later. So RJ says that Tate is a true number one receiver. I disagree. I mean, I do and I don't. Like, maybe he can be like a T. Higgins where it's like a 1B situation, or it's like I don't know, like maybe he is a number one receiver, but I don't think he's like a number one receiver who's going to be like top 10 in the league. Does that make sense? Like, I think he's a quality, like, I'm not trying to knock Carnell Tate. I just think like in a normal year, taking Carnell Tate somewhere between like 10 and 20 would be what would be happening, not number 4 overall. I think that's a little wild, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he performs in Tennessee with Cam Ward. He's definitely got a guy who's going to be willing to throw him the football.
Yeah, and I mean, you wonder now kind of what that pecking order is. Do you wonder now, does this mean like maybe the Titans try to trade a Calvin Ridley come mid-season if it's like a situation where they're still not super competitive, to see what they can get for him? Because obviously he's over his age 30 year. In
tie game 1-1 Sabres Bruins. Bo Byron.
There you go.
Goal. So there we go.
Very nice. Very nice. Good job. Good job, Sabres. And Kane still holding on to that, looks like 1-0 lead as well. So speaking of Brian Daboll, his former team is now up, right? And so you have a situation here where Joe Schoen is just being cucked by his own head coach. John Harbaugh is now in charge of that team. It's kind of hard to watch Joe Schoen, just operate and go about his business. It's just kind of laughably funny at this point. I would not be surprised if like Monday or Tuesday morning we get like the press release that he's been relieved of his duties as general manager, the way Doug Whaley was after the 2017 draft for the Bills. But the rumor is that they're really all in and done a lot of work on Jordan Tyson. New Orleans might be in on Jordan Tyson too. So you have maybe the pick coming in for the Giants. The pick is in. Maybe they go wide receiver, but you could see John Harbaugh wanting his safety, because he's always had good safeties in a guy like Caleb Downs. There are obviously 2 good linebackers on the board in Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. Everyone wants to say Arvell Reese is an edge. Dude, he's an off-ball linebacker to me who's got some edge ability. So I like that I like Arvell Reese as an off-ball dude, and I would still take him. And the pick is in for the New York Giants, and they have selected Arvell Reese, linebacker, Ohio State. Thoughts on that? I mean, I think that's this to me feels similar to like the Abdul Carter pick, where it's like kind of like a no-brainer. He's sitting there. He probably could have gone number 2 overall to the Jets. Thought he maybe could have gone right there, number 4 to the Titans. So to me, like, I think if it was me and I was the Giants, it probably would have been between him and Caleb Downs with this pick. But obviously the Giants go with Reese, and I think like they're just now with the 10th pick also, it makes total sense for them to just kind of stock up on like the best 2 players they can get with picks 5 and 10. I know, they traded Dexter Lawrence, obviously, and so they're maybe hurting a little bit on the defensive line. But if you look at sort of who they had at linebacker, Micah McFadden at one side, they signed Tremaine Edmonds, so it's probably going to be Tremaine Edmonds and Arvell Reese kind of paired in the middle with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau on the edges. So that's not a bad for that 3-4 defense that they're going to have this year. So I like that for them.
We've got our first trade of the draft. The Kansas City Chiefs have moved up to pick 6. They have swapped pick 9 to pick 6 to move up with Cleveland. We'll have to see what else they had to give up to get that. But the Kansas City Chiefs will be picking at pick number 6.
Boo.
It'll be interesting. New Orleans, maybe to me, they're trying to jump New Orleans, right? New Orleans picking at 8, or maybe they're trying to jump Washington, right? They're trying to jump one of these 2 teams. Washington, the rumor has been wide receiver for Washington for a while, or corner, Monsieur Delane. So maybe the Chiefs want the LSU corner, trying to jump New Orleans. New Orleans has been rumored to take an a wide receiver, or Ruben Bain. So maybe they want Ruben Bain. But it's interesting. The Chiefs are going to get a full trade here as number 6 for 9, 74, and 148. So the Chiefs are about to make a move here and select a player when it's their time. And they're going to get better. Like, they're going to get Sonny Styles or Jordan Tyson. If they get Jordan Tyson, I'll be so mad. Or Ruben Bain or Monsieur Delane, right? So Yeah, the Chiefs are going to get better here. It'll be really interesting to see where they go. If you were in charge, actually, I'm not going to say if you're in charge of the Chiefs. As a Bills fan, who's the player you least want to go to the Chiefs right here?
Least want to go? Man, I would say, well, look, they lost obviously Leo Chanel in free agency. I don't really want to see them take one, I don't want to see him take Jordan Tyson. That's one. I don't really want to see him take Sonny Styles either. Man, Caleb Downs, I don't want to see them take. I mean, I would say probably top of the list that I don't want to see them take is probably Jordan Tyson. That's just kind of my gut saying that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, obviously, the ASU fan of me would not be thrilled with Jordan Tyson going to the Kansas City Chiefs. For those of you who don't know, I have Arizona State season tickets.
The pick is in for the Chiefs. If you want me to announce it,
yeah, go for it.
It is Mansour Delane, the corner from
so
LSU.
They replace Trent McDuffie with Mansour Delane. I think Mansour Delane is a pretty good corner. Could I tell you, could I give you a scouting report on him right now off the top of my head? No, I could not. But I know the things that I have heard about him in passing, since I did absolutely no workup on him at all, have been pretty positive. And I feel like if the Bills were picking in the top 10 and the Bills needed a corner, that is the corner I would want. I think he's a pretty good player there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not super worked up about them taking him there, right? Like they lost McDuffie, they replace him, so it's not to me that's kind of like a little bit of a net even. They gave up a decent amount to go up and get the lane. I like the lane. Corners, obviously, we figured he was going to be the first one taken, obviously, and so good for them. And they've done well with drafting corners, obviously, in the past several cycles. So this one, I'm sure, will work out for them. And LSU obviously has a great track record of putting corners in the NFL. So we will see how it works out for them.
These expert mock drafts are not looking great so far, by the way. Right now, Peter Schrager is in the lead with 4. Mendoza, Bailey, Love, and Reese he called. Jeremiah, I'm going to give Jeremiah credit. He had Mansour Delane going to the Chiefs. He had him going to that 9, though. So I'll give him credit for that, Bailey. He's got 3.
That's credit. That's credit. And obviously now I think it's the Commanders are on the clock, right?
Yeah, this is Jordan Tyson territory again. There's a number of ways that they could go here. Draft Diamond says Sonny Styles is sliding. I don't know if he's sliding. Again, him and Caleb Downs, at the end of the day, no matter how much people want to say it doesn't matter, it kind of does, right? When it comes to position
and value. And I don't think they would take Styles anyway because they signed Leo Chanel in free agency, and they still have Frankie Louvu. So it's that doesn't seem like the pick. Maybe I could see Caleb Downs.
If before the draft, someone would told me I bet in the future Sonny Styles went 14th overall, I'd be like, I'm not shocked. He's an off-ball linebacker. Yeah. Same with Caleb Downs. It would not shock me at all if Dallas got to stick at where's Dallas? 9? No, Dallas is 12. It wouldn't shock me at all if Dallas got to stick at 12 and got one of Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles. It wouldn't shock me at all.
No. And I mean, that would be perfect for Dallas, right? Their defense was obviously a sieve last year. So, I mean, Jerry Jones, whatever you want to think about him, he pretty much kind of said they were going to be taking defense tonight, and probably, maybe it was a smokescreen, but it would be smart if the Dallas Cowboys took somebody on defense. So we'll see what the Commanders do here. They could go Jordan Tyson, like you mentioned, put him opposite of Scary Terry. They don't really have much else. Treylon Burks, Luke McCaffrey. They have Diami Brown still, but yeah, I mean, Jordan Tyson would be a nice little compliment there on the other side of Terry McLaurin, in my opinion.
All right, back to the Buffalo Bills here for a little bit as sort of we catch up to what's going on in the television, because Arvell Reese has just been announced on TV. They're just a little behind what's going on social media.
Just a little bit.
My big board, right? I put out my Bills specific big board today. I kind of started with KC Concepcion. I didn't put Caleb Downs or Jordan Tyson or Vega Ione. I didn't put any of those guys on my board. I started with KC Concepcion, even though there's legitimate chance Concepcion, Omar Cooper Jr., my number 2, might not be on the board when the Bills go to pick. But to no one's surprise, no one from my Bill specific big board has come off the board yet. So really all the names that we have been bandying about, all the names that we have talked about, we are not yet at risk of losing any of those guys that we have been talking about over the past few months here.
No, not yet. And I think, again, we kind of say this typically within the first 7 or 8 picks that there really hasn't been any surprises of the names that have been picked, I would say, to this point, right? You can argue about the order and whatever, but we are, only 6 picks in here, so nothing too shocking has really been able to happen. You always wonder with some of these teams like the Jets or whoever who might do something weird, but yeah, no real surprises so far. We're 6 picks in. I am liking the 8 minutes per pick. Has got things moving a little bit quicker this year.
So a couple of things have shocked me here. Number one, I had no idea I'm blocked by Mike Silver on X, so that's interesting. Have no idea. I'm sure I did something stupid, but anyway, he tweets Burns, Carter, Thibodeau, Reese. Gotta believe the Giants are their pass rush is disgusting. By the way, the perks of drafting in the top 5 every year. That's a disgusting pass rush, but I don't know. Kayvon Thibodeau. Do we give Joe Shane a call?
I think it's worth the phone call. We always hear about how Brandon Beane's always making calls and nothing ever materializes. So,
that also brings me to my next point too. Brian Thomas Jr. The leak today that the Jags are trying to get up into the back half of round 1. Could we swindle the Jags and swap their second and Brian Thomas Jr. for 26?
I'd do that.
Probably not. Right? I think anyone would.
Yeah.
Would the Jags be willing to do that is the question, or would they want more?
They would want more, I think, just because he's still on that rookie contract. And, it was the same kind of conversation that we had about Marvin Harrison Jr. on the salary cap extravaganza show. It's like those guys maybe haven't lived up to their full potential yet, but the big benefit of trading for a guy like that is you get him on that rookie contract and he's not going to kill your salary cap for another year or two. So there's the monetary benefit of trading for a guy like that. And I think because of that, it increases the price from a draft compensation standpoint. I think that you would have to give. That's just how I look at it. And I think that that's probably how the Jags would look at it as well, knowing that he's on that rookie deal. So yeah, I would imagine that it would take a little more than that.
All right. Hot take here as I'm sort of watching what's going on ESPN. Maybe it's just because I'm a draft junkie, and before we started doing this podcast and we started to get just the great honor from whether it's Cover One or back when we were at Fanatics, when Fanatics gave us the great privilege.
Before you start your thought, Commanders took Sonny Styles.
Ooh, interesting. All right. So Sonny Styles to the Commanders. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we were given this great privilege by these great networks to sit here and talk for the entirety of the draft, which is awesome. Thank you for doing that to both platforms. But I always used to sit at home with my big boards and be erasing and writing on marker and all that stuff as the draft was going on, just by myself and talking to myself. So maybe it's just me and I'm built a little different than some people and wired a little bit different, but attending the draft just seems miserable. That does not seem like fun. It seems like New York, Times Square on New Year's Eve, right? Would you really want to go there and sit in that giant crowd just to hear names called every 15 minutes? That just does not look fun at all.
I was planning to go to the draft in Vegas. It was in 2020.
And we both were. I think we had our hotels booked.
We were going to do do because that's a destination, right?
Yeah.
I
was still kind of oh man. We were talking about how to set up a studio in a hotel room so we could still do the coverage and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, for me, people say, oh, you got it. It is not super appealing to me. As much as I love the draft, it is not super appealing to me to want to go to the draft. That sounds strange, but I'd much rather be doing this, or if I wasn't doing this, I'd much rather be kind of scanning social media, watching the draft on TV. Like, I don't know. To me, that's, the one of the best things about the draft is talking to other fans of your team or even just your friends and like being in the room with them and just spending the day. I mean, I can tell you right now, like, part of me misses when we had that marathon day on Saturday years ago, right? When they did the first 3 rounds all in one day. That was like the whole
Yeah.
day was just the draft, and it was so cool. But yeah, I am with you. I'm kind of in that kind of group of, it's not the most appealing event for me, even as a draft guy, to want to actually go to the draft in person. I could be wrong.
Yeah, going through here too now. Looking at, like I said, I have Kuiper, Schrager, Jeremiah, and McShay's mock drafts printed, right? I'm sure there are other great guys who do great mocks. These are just the 4 that I kind of randomly selected to help us like sort of get through the show here, get up until the Bills pick, and kill some time. Man, these guys are struggling. Schrager is 4 for 7, but Kuiper with 2 right, Jeremiah with 3 right, McShay with 2 right. It is a struggle for these guys right now on the mock draft streets, and all these trades that were promised. Really, only one trade has come to fruition so far, so it'll be interesting to see how this draft. We were promised blockbusters.
I know, and it hasn't come. I haven't seen the pick yet, but like the Saints now, after all of that, like Jordan Tyson's there for them if they want him.
That is their selection, Jordan Tyson. Okay. You are a New Orleans Saints, and the Saints just love drafting wide receivers, and kudos to them for giving Tyler Shook and a weapon, giving Chris Olave somebody to take the pressure off. Kellen Moore gets another fun toy to play with. So that's a really, really interesting football team. They're on the, dare I say, they're on the come up a little bit. I mean, in the NFC South, anything can happen.
I mean, look what happened at the end of the season last year in the NFC South. You had the Panthers like beating Tampa Bay 2 of the last 3 weeks of the season to end up getting into the playoffs and playing the Rams with a losing record, right? So it's like I think it's been like twice now in the last like 10 or 12 years where the team has won that division with a losing record. So out of all the divisions in football, that is one, especially with, I don't know if like it was kind of a foregone conclusion last year that Tampa Bay was going to be the cream of the crop in that division, and they kind of faltered down the stretch. And you like what they had in Igbuka and Mayfield, and they had I know what's his name was injured most of the year, the running back. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now.
Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving was injured most of the year, but like that team should have easily won that division. And now it's like, who knows? With Atlanta, you got the Panthers who were up and coming last year, and now the Saints who actually, they had a decent defense last year as well. And what will they do this year? So it is an interesting division. I think like you might as well go for the division if you're the Saints, and I think that's what they're doing. I think that they had a nice offseason. They got ETN in there, right, to kind of maybe take over a little bit from Kamara. They kept Olave.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they didn't trade Olave, who we thought maybe they would. Juwan Johnson had a nice first year with Kellen Moore there. So, and they got Vele in that trade with the Broncos, who I thought came on at the end of the year as well. So I think the Saints have a chance to be competitive again in that division. Yeah.
Speaking on Jordan Tyson, like I said, I'm an ASU season ticket holder, so I've been watching this guy in person for 2 seasons now. And some of the stuff that was, man, people get really bored in the pre-draft process and just start talking nonsense. And there were a number of people, Dale Jeremiah included, which shocked me, that were questioning his toughness, that were questioning like, all these things about Jordan Tyson. For those of you who don't know, right, ASU was having a tough year this year. Starting quarterback went out. He was injured. Sam Levitt, he's at LSU now. Rumors were he might have broke his foot playing a pickup basketball game. So like the season didn't exactly go the way ASU thought it would, but they still had a pretty competitive season. Jordan Tyson pulls his hamstring like in the first quarter of that Texas Tech game. And he goes back out and plays the rest of that game on one leg and puts on an absolute clinic to help ASU upset the Texas Tech Red Raiders. That defense with David Bailey and Romello Height and Cole Wisniewski and Jacob Rodriguez and Lee Hunter. Like ASU's offense moved up. They kicked a ton of field goals, But Jordan Tyson moved the ball pretty darn well down the field, scored a touchdown, and helped ASU win that game in an upset. I'm not comping him to Justin Jefferson. I never will. But like the guy gets open in ways and he creates separation for himself in a way that reminds me of the way Justin Jefferson creates separation for himself and moves for himself. And you watch Keon Coleman run a route on air and it's like, this is boring as shit. Like this is just stiff as a board. There's nothing there. This is not intriguing. You watch Jordan Tyson run routes on air and you're like, whoa, that's different. That is noticeably different from what I see from some of these other guys. So Jordan Tyson is one of the best separators in this class. I'm really excited that he goes and gets to play in a Kellen Moore offense. Tyler Shook showed, at least in his rookie year, that he can throw that football around. He's got Chris Olave to take the pressure off him. They got a running game with Etienne and Kamara if Kamara decides to still play. So really excited that he's not in the AFC. He doesn't play for a team that I dislike. Really happy for Jordan Tyson winding up there with the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, and Chuck won't be afraid to throw the rock to him, right? I mean, that's one of his kind of redeeming qualities, in my opinion, is that he's not afraid to throw the ball down the field. And, can that offensive line protect? Can that offensive line protect him? We will see. They've made some investments in that offensive line over the last couple of years. They, drafted Kelvin Banks recently. They signed, obviously, David Edwards from the Bills in the offseason. They still have Eric McCoy as their center. They had Fuaga, who they drafted a couple years ago. And so, they're trying to put that offensive line in place for Tyler Shough. And so it's an intriguing team, I will say. And again, their defense was pretty good even a year ago. Then they added Caden Ellis to that defense, took him away from a division rival in the Falcons. Mm-hmm. They have Devon Godchaux still. They drafted Brian Brees 2 years ago. They have Pete Werner. I mean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Justin Reed. They could use some help at corner for sure, other than Kool-Aid. But, I mean, we'll see what they do the rest of the draft. But the Saints, with Kellen Moore at the helm, it feels like they're headed back in the right direction after going through all those cap issues they've gone through over the past several years.
And one last little tidbit, right? This is the most information you're going to get on any prospect that is not on the Bills' radar. Jordan Tyson, too. I remember after the Colorado game this year. So Jordan Tyson was originally a Colorado Buffalo. And when he got to Colorado, or when Deion Sanders got there, he actually transferred out after an injury to Arizona State and then went on to do all those things that he did at Arizona State. After the ASU Colorado game this year, Jordan Tyson went into the locker room, found Deion Sanders, and then personally apologized to him for not being able to live up to what he was supposed to live up to at Colorado. So that also just goes to show you what type of person Jordan Tyson is. Deion Sanders, literally just embraced him and said, dude, you got nothing to apologize for. You went out there and you did what was best for you. You left, you went and you did your thing and you're having success. But that's who Jordan Tyson is. That's the kind of character he is. That's kind of accountability he brings. So I'm really excited that he is not a New York Jet. I'm really excited that he's not a Kansas City Chief. I'm really excited that he has landed somewhere that the Bills play once every 4 years. Super excited about that one as we roll on with the NFL draft. ESPN just went to commercial.
The Browns have made their pick.
The Browns have made their pick. Everyone's expecting offensive line, and the pick is in.
And it is offensive line.
They've gone with Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle out of Utah. And here's what I'll say about Spencer Fano. In the limited work that I have done on Spencer Fano, I would move him to center. I do not think he's going to live up at tackle to what people want him to, but I think he can be a pretty good center. But that's just my very lack of nuance take on Spencer Fano. I think he could be a good pivot in the National Football League. But Peter Schrager gets a point because he had Spencer Fano going to the Browns at 6. Daniel Jeremiah gets a point because he had Spencer Fano going to the Browns at 6. Todd McShay had the Browns taking Caden Proctor at 6, which is pretty funny. But
the Giants could do the funniest thing here right now and take Reuben Bain. That would be hilarious. Giants back on the clock now after taking Arvell Reese earlier at pick 5, and now they can kind of do whatever they want here. I feel like a bit, right?
They lost out on their receiver though. Like, so the rumor was they wanted to pair a defensive player with a receiver, but now they can pair their pass rusher with a guy who can roam center field and can play up in the box, and a guy like Caleb Downs here.
Well, just saying, right? I'm just saying. I know they signed Darnell Mooney, but they did lose Wendell Robinson in the offseason. So
slot player.
Makai Lemon, I'm just saying he could be.
Watch them take Concepcion here at the Denzel Boston so
they got to quit Darius Slayton eventually, right? Like they got to just move.
Who was it that I was listening to today? I think it was Connor Rogers, and he just said, listen, the National Football League is higher on Denzel Boston than you are, and you just got to live with it. So I have Denzel Boston. I kid you not. I have Denzel Boston. Because, again, I do not want it to ever sound like I'm ripping on a dude. I like Denzel Boston. I think he's a quality receiver. I would take Denzel Boston in a trade back in the second round. I think he's Mac Hollins-esque. I have him 27th on my Bills-specific big board, and that is me not taking all the guys that are expected to go before the Bills. That's me not putting any, like, running backs, quarterbacks, tackles, like any position the Bills don't need. I don't put them on my Bills-specific big board. So I have him 27th. I think he's a day two guy. I think he's Mac Hollins, right? Maybe Mac Hollins with a ceiling. But at the end of the day, with Denzel Boston, and again, there really isn't a bad pick for the Buffalo Bills. There's most of the picks the Bills take I can live with. Outside of maybe TJ Parker. I might say some things I regret on air if we take TJ Parker. But at the end of the day, like, if the Bills take Denzel Boston at 26, I'll be like, well, even if I think his ceiling is Mac Hollins, like, if someone told me we could get Mac Hollins back on our football team tomorrow, I'd do it. Like, I would add that body to our room. I think he was a really good player for us. Is it worth?
But not for a first round pick.
No, it's not. No, from an investment standpoint, hell no, it's not worth it. But from a just making your football team better standpoint, I think he'd find more success in the National Football League than, say, a Keon Coleman.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you say, like, do we, because we got maybe burned a little by Keon Coleman, does that make us shy away from a guy? He's
not Keon Coleman though. Like,
I know, but does it make you? Does it make you have those thoughts when making that pick? Like, I mean, again, the biggest example of that was like Cardinals a year later took Kyler Murray number one overall after they took Josh Rosen the year before in the first round. So like, it shouldn't stop you from taking the guy if you really want him. But I would not take him at 26. I'd find another player, even if it was like on defense or something else that I would take like more. But yeah, it would not be who I would want.
Mel Kiper is back on the board. Tom McShay is back on the board because with the, oh my gosh, what pick are we at? The 10th pick in the draft. The New York Giants select Francis Mayoga. Mayoga. If the Bills were going to draft him, I would have learned how to pronounce his name. But they took the offensive lineman out of the University of Miami. So the Giants take an offensive lineman here at pick 10. The big thing with Mayoga, dude, I had it earlier. I don't have it anymore. Is shorter arms. So the talk with him is that they're going to have to kick him inside. You might want to consider kicking him inside to guard. So it'll be really interesting to see the plan the New York Giants have for him. But they have selected him with pick number 10. Another player, not on my Bills specific big board.
Yeah. And I think talk about the top 10 right now. I don't know that there's any real surprises. Maybe you could have said Ruben Bain might have snuck into the top 10, but like no real surprises to me so far in my mind.
Teams in this draft, I think teams are going to regret not taking Ruben Bain Jr. sooner. Like, respectfully, I understand that he's got shorter. Yes. I understand he's got shorter arms, and I still think the guy's going to be a really effective and a really good football player. And I think he's better than some of the players who have been taken above him. That's all I'm going to say with Ruben Bain. I think someone here, maybe Miami, is going to get a steal. Maybe who picks 12? Dallas will get a steal here. Somebody's going to get a steal here with Ruben Bain.
That definitely feels like a Miami or Dallas type of pick to me. Like
Do
I could definitely.
the Rams add to their arsenal of pass rushers?
Oh, that is such a Rams pick. That is such a Rams pick. If he makes it there, I don't know that there's more of a Rams pick in this draft than Ruben Bain. Like that just screams Rams to me. But yeah, we'll see. The Dolphins are now on the clock, and obviously they are going through some interesting transition in the division, obviously, and I mean certainly not going to be complaining that they're going through transition. Jets figuring out what they're going to do. Aaron Glenn back in the whole fold. The whole situation now swirling around the Patriots with Vrabel and all that. Like, I feel like it's kind of nice that there's a bit of chaos surrounding all the other teams in the division right now. What does Miami do with this pick? They drafted Chop Robinson 2 years ago. They still have Zach Sealer. They signed Josh Uche in the they could use a pass rusher for sure. I feel like it could be Ruben Bain for them.
Here's my sleeper here for Miami. I don't know why, but I'm just kind of vibing with this pick for Miami. Dylan Thiemann out of Oregon. Maybe he jumps Caleb Downs. Miami's got a need in that secondary. They need a playmaker in that secondary. Maybe a guy like Dylan Thiemann interests them.
They took another Oregon safety 4 or 5 years ago in the first, in Javon Holland with that.
That's the guy I wanted with the Rousseau pick.
Yes. And so, maybe they go back to the well and draft another Oregon safety there. But I could see Ruben Bain for sure being on Miami's radar here.
Well, Miami. I don't know if he's a Miami guy, but he went to the University of Miami.
I mean, it makes too much sense almost.
Yeah, so. Caleb Downs and Ruben Bain are clearly the two players right now that are sticking out on the board as we go. But I'll tell you what, like we're now 10 picks in. Right. Mm-hmm. So we are through the top 10 picks of this draft. It's been an hour. That's nice. Right. So we're going to keep this thing to like 3 hours at this point.
Yep.
Nothing has made me go, there's been no Jake Locker moment, right, in this draft where I still remember to this day, sitting in my college apartment with my buddies, and he had a bowl of popcorn on his lap, and he was a Jake Locker fan. It was really odd. The infatuation he had with Jake Locker.
Interesting.
And when Jake Locker went in the top 10, he jumped up and there was just popcorn all over my apartment. It's just everywhere.
Why was he a Jake Locker fan?
I got no effing clue, man. We, when people are teenagers, they do weird things. Yeah. Darius Hayward-Bay, Clean Farrell, somebody do something crazy. Somebody wake this show up here. Do something nuts. I just noticed we got 900 viewers here in the live stream. So thank you for anyone who is viewing, by the way. I probably should have done that by now. We're going to do our best to incorporate the chat at any time we can over the course of this show. Obviously, super chats get priority. So if there is a talking point, if there is something you want to get off your chest, if there's something you want to talk about, super chats are always appreciated. We'll pull those up over the course of the evening. We'll be pulling up anyone's chat as well. We don't discriminate here. So if you got a great comment, throw it in the comment section. We appreciate your engagement, sticking with us here through night one of the draft, and we'll be with you tomorrow night as well. And I got good news for you, Bills Mafia. Not a single player from my Buffalo Bills specific draft board is off the board yet. I know you are all worried, but
we were all worried.
Through 10 picks, none of the projected Buffalo Bills targets at pick 26 are off the board.
Yeah, and we know some of those will come off in these next 10 picks as we kind of head towards pick 20. Yeah. But, the more, I don't know, offensive linemen that go, right? The more corners that go. If you get like a McCoy or a Terrell going, that's good, I think, for the Bills. Obviously, Ioni will get picked at some point. We know that will happen. So we'll see, right? I think that these next couple picks are going to be interesting because you still have Caden Proctor on the board as an offensive lineman. You still have Ioni on the board as an offensive lineman. Caleb Lomu's up there as well. The other Utah offensive lineman, could he be in the first round conversation? So, yeah, I think that's where we start looking now as we head to from picks 11 to 20 are like what positions now are going to get picked. I think like we certainly didn't ever think that there would be a chance that Ruben Bain would fall to the Bills, and he won't most likely. But, some of these defensive linemen you would think like Bain and and Falk and Banks would probably be starting to be on some teams' radars.
We are through 10 picks. The 10th pick is being announced on television right now. And at least on the accounts that I am following, the Dolphins pick has not been pipped yet. And here's what I will say about the Titans pick here. I think it's, or not the Titans pick, excuse me, the Dolphins pick. It's going to be somebody young. Like it's this, whoever they take is not going to be like some 25-year-old. Like they're going to take a young dude because this is a team that's pretty well bought into their rebuild at this point. So I fully expect the Dolphins here to take one of the younger players in the draft. I quite personally have not done the research into who the youngest players in this draft class are, but if I had that list in front of me, I could probably give you 3 or 4 names of the ones who are in the first round consideration. I think this Dolphins pick is not going to be chalk. Like, I don't think it's going to be Caleb Downs. I don't think it's going to be Ruben Bain. I think it's going to be someone young. And somebody in the comment section, Nathan, says Cowboys are moving on up. And that was the next thing I was going to say. I wonder if they trade out and they stockpile, right? So the Cowboys are now on the clock.
They this is one spot.
And I don't want to condone what the Cowboys do and how they structure their organization.
This seems odd to me. This seems very odd.
No. But like, there's something refreshing about the fact that like they're not a part of Blesto. Like they're not part of that group thing. They just do their own effing thing.
They do.
This is they march by the beat of their own drum, and sometimes they just do the thing that everyone thinks they're going to do. This pick has got to be Ruben Bain or Caleb Downs, right? Like, it's got to be one of those two guys. So
but they must have really wanted one of the two guys to move up one spot. So yeah, that's an interesting trade up, right? Because they were the next pick after the Dolphins. So what are they giving up to move up one spot? And the pick is in, and the Cowboys have taken Caleb Downs.
Yes, that pick makes sense for them. To me, that's a no-brainer. He's one of the best players in this draft class. Such an overthink when it comes to Caleb Downs. He's a great line of scrimmage player. He's had great tape against like Brock Bowers. He's had great tape against Ty Warren playing tight ends and covering tight ends. People are like, well, you know, he can't center field. He wasn't asked to center field. He can center field. He is a true split safety. He can cover tight ends. He can be a tight end eraser. He's smart as a whip. He's a decent enough athlete. Like Caleb Downs was talked about for years as a top 5 pick. This guy's going to be a generational safety. He's going to be a top 5 pick. And now the Cowboys are sitting here getting him at pick 11. Good for you, Dallas. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, and I think, it was pretty much telegraphed like all day that Jerry Jones was going to take a defensive player if he stood pat at 12, or maybe it was even reported. Several people said that they were maybe looking to move up, and so they do move up one spot and they get Caleb Downs. And I think, hey, glad for him to be in the NFC. I don't need to see, as RJ puts, like Downs will be their Kyle Hamilton. I don't need to see another Kyle Hamilton in the AFC. Like, I'm fine with Caleb Downs going to the NFC, going to the Cowboys. That team needs a lot of help defensively. Do I care if the Cowboys are good or not? No, I don't care. But I am glad that that player is now in the NFC. And it looks like the Dolphins, like, to just move down one spot, got picks 177 and 180, which I believe are both 5th round picks, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that.
So wait, what was the return on that? Because like I said, like we thought the trade backs weren't going to be that expensive, or the trade ups weren't going to be that expensive this year.
Yeah, that was those were the 2 Cowboys comp picks in the 5th round, 177 and 180 to move up one spot. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, for the Dolphins too, right? As a team that's like needing a lot of infusion of talent, and they literally just move back one spot, and they're still going to probably get the guy they wanted to take all along in Ruben Bain. So good on them too. Like, 2 5th rounders for Dallas to get the guy that they wanted is really not much, right? So Dolphins now on the clock, and we'll see if they do take Ruben Bain with this pick, which I think they should. That's who I would take if I was them. But again, I'm not the GM, so we'll see. As far as young guys, right? I did just a quick search on that for the guys left. Keldrick Falk is one of the younger players.
Interesting.
In this draft.
That makes sense.
So he was one of the ones that was on the short list. And as far as guys like in the first round, are concerned, Caden Proctor is another. That's
I would
pretty
love it. I would so love if they took Caden Proctor here. That would be great.
Caden Proctor, and then the others, most of the others in the early rounds, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love, Mugawa, they've all been picked already. So
yeah,
I mean those are just the top ones, right? That are the youngest that I've seen.
I got this weird feeling it's going to be Dylan Thiemann. I got a weird feeling.
I mean, I hope you cut and clip that if that's the case, because that's a great call if that ends up being the case.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that comes to fruition here. I don't know. I can picture Dylan Thiemann in a Dolphins jersey.
It does feel like it could be.
Yeah, the pick is not in yet, so we'll be waiting a little bit longer for this pick. But
so who is your you asked me what my ideal scenario was. Like, do you have an ideal short list of like 2 or 3 guys that you're hoping for at pick 26 if we stay put?
Well, let's go to my big board, which you can see at the bottom of the screen here that I put on the board. So the way I have it ranked, I have Concepcion and Cooper Jr. 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So if we take the receiver, I won't be upset. Now I do have a little bit of a misgiving with Omar Cooper Jr. just because projected to be maybe a slot, his down the field stuff compared to his like short yardage stuff. Like there are concerns a little bit, but at the end of the day, I just want to get Josh Allen weapons, man. I'm just so sick of this team taking shortcuts. Like I was having this conversation with my brother-in-law today. He's just like, "What are you guys going to do tonight?" And I'm like, "I hope Casey Concepcion
scored, by the way.
Nice,
Sabres,
up 2-1,
2-1 Sabres. Canes are
Alex
tied
Tuck
1-1.
Nice. Yeah, Alex Tuck 2-1 Sabres, awesome. So I was just like, all we need is for our wide receiver room to be semi-competent. We don't even need them to be elite. We don't even need them to be great. We just need them to be semi-competent, right? And they're on their way there with DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And
they have Shakir.
Josh Palmer should get healthier, right? But it's just like, I'm so sick of them spending, like they just beat around the bush. We're spending all this money in free agency. We're trading these assets for veteran players. We're doing this. We're doing that. Like, just effing draft the guy early. That's not Keon Coleman. Like that is what I think the Buffalo Bills should do. So my top 2 are Concepcion and Omar Cooper Jr. After that, I got Christian Miller, Malachi Lawrence, Cade McDonald, Jacob Rodriguez, and then I get into the Peter Woodses, the McNeil Warrens of the world. So to me, if we could walk away with any of my top 5, I'd be ecstatic. And even though I love 6, I'd probably be a little disappointed knowing we got to wait till 91 to add another player, and that is Jacob Rodriguez. So Concepcion, Cooper Jr., Miller, Lawrence, and McDonald are my top 5.
And how do you feel about a trade out if let's say if
Concepcion isn't on the board, trade back.
Okay, so if it's
point blank.
So like even if one of your top 5's on the board, you're still good with the trade back at that.
100%. Unless my number 1 is on the board, which is Concepcion, trade back.
Okay, I like that.
I think you can replace any of these guys in the aggregate. You know, when I'm looking at my board, like if we don't get Christian Miller or Caden McDonald, you can get, Lee Hunter or Dominique Orange. If you don't get Malachi Lawrence, you can get R. Mason Thomas or Gabe Yakis. If you don't get Casey Concepcion or Omar Cooper, you can get Jeremy Bernard or Skylar Bell. Like, I would love to add 2027 assets to me. Like, as awful as that sounds, I would love it if the Bills could walk out at night 1 with a 2027 asset. Be like the Rams last year, and there have been teams previous that always teams fall in love with a player and they do something silly. They make a trade that maybe they shouldn't, and they give up an asset they shouldn't. If the Bills could get a second first-round pick in 2027, hell yeah. Like, I would love to walk out. That would be the dream scenario, I think, is walking out of here with a first-round pick next year.
Yeah, and I am not seeing the Dolphins pick, but Jay Glazer is tweeting that the Rams are going to be drafting Ty Simpson with the 13th.
Did I not say that, bro?
You did. You got to click it. You got. I mean,
Oh,
I still don't see who the Dolphins picked, but obviously they're not picking Ty Simpson. But wow, if that's the case,
yeah, dude.
again, that's just what Jay
Draft
Glazer's
Diamonds is
saying. But
Draft Diamonds is too busy with the Sabres right now. He's not tipping picks like he usually does. But Jay Glazer. Rams are drafting quarterback Ty Simpson with the 13th pick. Sean McVay actually told Matthew Stafford today of their decision and made it clear it's for whenever Stafford decides to move on. Yeah, that doesn't shock. Of all of the situations in the world, like that does not shock me at all. Like everyone wanted to put Kenyon Sadiq or Malachi Lemon to the Rams, or excuse me, Mekhi Lemon to the Rams, and I wasn't buying it. I'm like, that makes too much sense. So Ty Simpson to the Rams. That was something that I mentioned at the top of the show. What did I say? I said it was Arizona, Pittsburgh, and the wild card was the Rams. And he ends up going to the Rams at 14. It'll be really interesting to see if that's the correct move. But, dude, I mean, if Sean McVay believes in you, that's pretty interesting. That's a really good sign for your future.
That is a good sign.
But yeah, kudos to the Rams because I said it, and then I was, dude, Dolphins. Yes. Did I not tell you they're going to take a young guy?
Who would they take?
Caden Proctor.
There you go. He was on the young guy list that I mentioned. Oh my God, so dude, there you go.
Somebody's got to hire me at this point. Somebody's got to hire me. Listen, cover one. It's been real. It's been great. I've had fun. Bigger things are calling my name.
You know what you need to do next year. It's too late now, but
do a mock draft.
You got those 4 mock drafts lined up, right? And you're scoring them. You got to put your own right next to them.
I did like 4 mocks today, and I hated every single one of them, and I never published any of them. I was just like, not doing it. I'd rather not. I'm going to save myself the embarrassment.
Because I thought there was going to be any mock drafts this year. Can you believe it? 0.
I thought there was going to be a lot of trades, so I didn't want to get into that mock draft business. So to recap, Miami Dolphins, Caleb Proctor. I don't even hate Caleb Proctor. I think he's a guard. I think he's a guard. Caden Proctor, excuse me. And then you have Ty Simpson go to the Rams. So now things just got wild. Things just got a little interesting.
Things got very interesting. And now you've got, after the Rams taking Ty Simpson at 13, now the Ravens are on the clock at pick 14, obviously with their new head coach in place as well. So
Mel Kiper had Caden Proctor going 12 to Cleveland in a trade back. Do I give him credit for that?
I feel like if you get the team right, you get a point. If you get the slot right, you get a point. So
okay.
So
Mel Kiper gets a point.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you get half a point if you get the slot right and not the team. I don't know.
Wait, did they pick? No, never mind. They picked 12, right?
12, yeah. So I feel like you should get some credit if you get this exact slot right. And in some ways, maybe that's even harder to do. I don't know.
So Ruben Bain is still on the board, huh?
Yeah. I mean, could this be a Raven right here?
Oh, dude. Trey Henderson and Ruben Bain? No big deal. Oh, Todd McShay called Ty Simpson to the Rams. Good for him, man. Good for him.
Well, good for him. I miss Todd McShay a little bit. I liked him.
Oh, he's still, don't you worry. He's at the Ringer now. He's still around.
Yeah.
He landed on his feet.
Good for him. I wonder if Diana will land on her feet.
Well, so it's funny story. So the joke is that she would end up at Barstool.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that makes sense.
But no, now that she's dragging down Mike Vrabel, is Portnoy really going to hire her?
Nah, he won't do that. Portnoy's too loyal to Vrabel, so
yeah,
that's not going to happen.
Did you see those 2 Boston radio hosts were fired because they mentioned it on air?
Really?
Just for mentioning the Vrabel Rossini thing, they fired 2 WEEI radio hosts. Pretty crazy stuff.
As if like people don't want to listen to that. Like, of course, like oh my gosh, that's wild, man.
My buddy just texted me, Dolphins never change. That is such a Dolphins pick. That's very Austin. Caden Proctor is very Austin Jackson-esque. It's a very Austin Jackson type pick for them.
I could definitely, I mean, to me, like Ruben Bain screaming here for for the Ravens. Put him the opposite of Trey Hendrickson. Come on.
Looking at the expert mocks, Baltimore had Spencer Fano going, so that's wrong. Or Mel Kiper had Spencer Fano going, so that's wrong because he already got drafted. Peter Schrager's got Ione. Daniel Jeremiah's got Kenyon Sadiq, and Baltimore, Tom McShay has got Ione as well. So Ione seems to be the popular one here, but I don't think anyone in their right minds had Reuben Bain Jr. still on the board here at pick number 14.
Yeah, I guess that only makes sense. They got Voorhees and John Simpson still, right? Penciled in as their two guards.
Is John Simpson around? I thought he was with the Jets. I could be wrong.
Yeah, according to
I could be wrong.
According to ESPN's Ravens depth chart, they still have
John
Simpson, apparently. Yeah. So, yeah, they got.
Draft Diamond said a team might get crazy now and trade. If Carson Beck is quarterback 3, God help us. God help us.
Maybe the Bills can benefit. Someone will trade up to 26 and take Carson Beck.
Take all the quarterbacks you want. Take all the pure tackles you want. To me, the rumor flying around though was that George Pickens might be available today too.
Yeah, that was a big rumor, but I think that was just to get clicks. To be honest, I just can't see the Cowboys.
I can't see the Cowboys. Like, if you were the Bills and you're Brandon Beane and you want George Pickens, what are you offering? Are you offering 26 and next year's first?
I am offering. I'm starting the conversation with. I'd start the conversation with 26 next year's second and Keon Coleman and see what they would say to that. But they would probably take 2 first. Yeah, realistically,
I think it would take. Yeah, I think it would take something like. 26 and next year's 1, which in a 2027 draft, it's that's a tough sell in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a tough sell. I agree, and I think like if anything, maybe the Bills would want to potentially even trade back at a 26 and be happy getting a 2027 pick in return if it means they can get a little bit more value out of it, right? Like, let's say they're sitting there at 26 and, maybe they can move down to the mid-second, and they have the choice of either getting like a 4th this year or a 3rd next year. I think they would take the 3rd next year, to be honest. And I probably would do the same. So it'll be interesting. I think, the draft is moving along now. We're like pick 14. So, we're only an hour and 20 minutes in, and we're almost kind of halfway through. It's been kind of nice. It's been kind of nice to have it going a little bit quicker this year. And I have kind of stopped paying attention to the broadcast. I don't know where they are in the announcing.
If they're at commercial and the Rams are on the clock, or the pick is in. So they're going to get to the Rams in a second here. Speaking of things that would be disappointing in walking out of here night 1, I would be very disappointed. And there are very few players like that I could justify this with. I'd be very disappointed if the Buffalo Bills walked out of tonight having given up 2027 draft capital.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree.
I find it hard to believe a scenario where you could convince me that giving up 2027 draft capital would be beneficial to this football team.
Yeah, especially knowing what's coming in 2027. You're going to need multiple years to kind of restock this defense. By the way, Kane's up 2-1 now at the end of the second. You are going to need multiple years to restock this defense. I don't think there's any. I don't have any delusions that you're going to fix everything with this.
We took our first 4 picks last year. We're defense. Okay.
Exactly. Yes, I know. And the reality is like, we've been investing heavily in defense through the draft the past several years, right? Outside of a Keon Coleman, right? First pick of the 2nd round, and Dalton Kincaid. I mean, James Cook was a late 2nd rounder. Like, most of these early picks, Rousseau, Epinesa, Elam, you drafted Maxwell Hairston last year. Plus, obviously, you went and got TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, Dion. Like, you've invested a lot of dollars and like a lot of picks in the draft. And then you've also invested heavily in free agency too, right? You made the Von Miller signing. I get that it didn't work out. You gave Terrell Bernard and Christian Benford these big contracts, right? You gave Rousseau the big contract. You gave Ed Oliver a contract, right? So I know they've done some stuff on offense too. Like they gave Shakir the contract. We'll see what happens with Kincaid on whether that he gets a new contract from the team. They restructured Knox, but like, yeah, it hasn't been equitable, I would say. And it's because they know Josh Allen's gonna make up for a lot of that. So yeah.
Yeah, and to a degree that's understandable, but it's just like they have swung and missed so many times at the receiver position in terms of doing what it takes to help Josh Allen. So it'll be really interesting to see what decision they make at 26, whether there will be even a receiver worth taking on the board. So as we get through round one here, we're waiting on the Baltimore Ravens.
And the Ravens took two guys were right, I think, with that pick.
Ooh,
And
Ione. It's a good pick for them. He was like the one guy where I was like, who's a consensus guy slated to go well before the Bills pick that could maybe slip into the range and tempt the Buffalo Bills? And to me, it was Ione. But goes at pick 14 here for a guard. Pretty darn good. He is a really quality football player.
Very good. Yes. Very good. I would have been, I never would have traded up for him, like, unless he got to like the early 20s. But like, if the Bills hadn't, signed Corbett and had like not brought back McGovern, and maybe like there was like still a lot of question marks with the interior there, I could have seen that pick for them if he got into range for sure.
So the two names that are sticking out on the board right now to me are Reuben Bain Jr. and then Mekhi Lemon. And Mekhi Lemon's the guy we never really had a conversation about, because this is a guy who's projected to be like an Amon-Ra St. Brown type, a primary slot type. But is there a world where the Buffalo Bills, I know we're still 12 picks away, but is there a world where if you're the Buffalo Bills, where do you have Mekhi Lemon ranked? Is Mekhi Lemon even on your board? You think he's a fit for the personnel you already have? Because you already have Dalton Kincaid taking snaps in the middle of the field. You already have Khalil Shakir taking snaps in the middle of the field. Like, is Mekhi Lemon, even though he's a good football player, it's not even something you consider if you're the Buffalo Bills?
I think you consider it. You also have to think DJ Moore plays over the middle of the field some as well. I think you do have to consider it, because I think you have to think about from the standpoint of like, where were we a year ago when Josh Palmer got hurt and Dalton Kincaid was hurt, and like you were really hurting offensively from a weapon standpoint. And if you're picking in the late 20s, mid to late 20s, and a guy like that gets to you, and in any other scenario, you wouldn't really have had any chance to get a player like that, I think it would be pretty tempting. I'm not saying you trade up for him, by the way. I'm just saying if he lands in your lap at 26, man, it would be hard pressed for me to pass on him, even though like maybe he's redundant with some of the position sort of alignment stuff that you have already. But like, man, that would be tempting. And also, by the way, if he was there at 26, you'd be getting calls for trades at that point as well.
I think that is I think that's the thing here for the Bills. Like, if Lemon does say drop, I think you just hit the nail on the head there. That's when you start fielding phone calls. But who wants to come up?
But I would be surprised if he got past the Jets though at 16, just because like they got Garrett Wilson, they traded for AD Mitchell, who's an outside guy last year. They don't really have a slot guy now. Mechie's gone. Like who is going to be the slot guy for the Jets? So like, to me, like Lemon, we're talking about Lemon. And it's the Jets. They could mess it up, but I would be shocked if he got past the Jets at 16. So,
all right. So now we have on the clock the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll tell you what, most mock drafts I see have an edge rusher going to them.
It's got to be Bain, right? I mean,
but also a lot of people trading up, like both Daniel Jeremiah and Todd McShay have trade ups in their mock draft for offensive tackle. Philly trading up for Caden Proctor, who's gone. Philly trading up for Monroe Feeling, who's still on the board. Peter Schrager has Akeem Mesidor, your guy, going to the Buccaneers. And then Mel Kiper has Kenyon Sadiq. So it'll be really interesting to see how the Buccaneers decide to go here. The NFC South clearly always open. Ruben Bain is still on the board.
I just don't understand. I don't understand the Sadiq pick. You have K-Dot in there. You have Devin Culp, who you drafted. I mean, I guess, yes, Sadiq could be, the heir apparent or probably even better than K-Dot. And so I shouldn't dismiss it so quickly. But Sadiq seems more like a luxury pick to me for them than an edge player would be more of a need, I think.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Tampa Bay decides to go here. And then after them, New York Jets are on the clock, right? Yeah. So to me, that'll be really interesting because we're talking wide receiver here.
They has to be Mekhi Lemon. I mean, that's so.
Could they take a Omar Cooper Jr. over Mekhi Lemon? That would be crazy.
I don't know, but the Bucs do take Ruben Bain Jr. So
yes,
he is off the board.
Pick there
that's just one where it's like the Cowboys. Like, don't overthink it. Just go and take that guy. Just don't overthink it. That makes sense, and I think it really does make sense for the Jets to take Lemon here. I mean, you got David Bailey with pick number 2. Now go and get a guy on the other side of the ball. To me, it makes so much sense, which means maybe the Jets won't do it because it makes too much sense. And we know the Jets don't like to be conventional, we'll say, when it comes to their picks. So
all right. We are almost halfway through the first round here. We will be through the first round when the New York Jets make their selection. And I am happy to announce that no players from my Bills specific big board are yet off of the list. So if you're a Bills fan, all those names that we have been talking about for the last 2 months, don't you worry. They are still on the board for the Buffalo Bills. Things are going to start to get super interesting. I don't know. Brandon Beane likes to trade up, Dave. He likes to trade up.
He's traded up more than he's traded down. That's for sure. So
does he got it in him? Is he going to do it this year with no second round pick?
I don't know, but I guess who are you trading up for is the question at this point. I could have seen maybe Ruben Bain being on the radar if he slipped a little bit more. To me, I would say this. To me right now, I don't think there's anyone standing out enough for me that I'm thinking about trading up at this point.
There's not a single player on the board that I would consider trading up for. None.
Exactly. So I would say no to that. Now, if what you're saying, your big board, right? Your Bills specific big board, guys continue to be available on that board. And I know this is just our board or your board, but if there's plenty of guys on that board still when it comes to pick 26, to me, the trade down becomes really appealing, right? And we may be coming at it tonight not talking about a Bills pick potentially if they do trade out. So we've got a super chat in here now.
Yeah, Patton Place comes in and says, go outside and curse, spit, spin around in circles, throw salt over your shoulder now, all the things. Thank you for your coverage, guys. I think it's because he doesn't want us to trade up. I think he's just trying to, we don't want to jinx it here and have the Buffalo Bills trade up. But as we near closer to the Buffalo Bills pick, things are getting super, super interesting. But I'll tell you what, man, I don't know what it is. This draft is kind of boring. I guess that was to be expected.
No real surprises. I mean, Ty Simpson maybe a little bit, but you called it. You called that.
Shocked. So I read some report. I don't even remember who reported it. Was that when Ty Simpson was considering coming out in the draft, they were asking around. His agent was asking around the league, what are your thoughts on this guy? What are your thoughts on this guy? And Les Snead said, declare you will be a first rounder. But no one thought that Les Snead was actually going to be the one who drafted him. It was going to be somebody else who drafted him in the first round. But Les Snead was just giving his opinion, you're a first round caliber talent. So Les Snead ends up being the one who drafts him.
And Les Snead probably knew that if he stayed put at 13, that there was going to be no chance that he wouldn't take him because no one was going to take him before 13. So
this to me is not the Michael Penix situation revisited. I think it's a good move for the Rams. I think Ty Simpson, a year, maybe 2 years on the bench, sitting behind Matthew Stafford, getting, football 101 classes from Sean McVay and that coaching staff. and then stepping into a huddle with Puka Nacua and Kyrene Williams and all those guys. Devontae Adams will probably be gone by then.
Yep.
I think of all the situations for Ty Simpson to land into, I think he landed into the right one.
It's a great situation, and especially in the era we're in now, where you get a guy like Mendoza picked early, and like all these guys that get picked first overall, or these guys that get picked early, like they go into these situations where the teams are bad. They don't have any real direction. Now I know Mendoza's going in there and Kirk Cousins is there. Fine. Kirk Cousins was there with Penix as well. But like most of these guys are going into very bad teams and bad organizations with maybe new coaching staffs or inexperienced coaching staffs. And it's just it's tough. It's really tough for those guys to come out and succeed right away. And so you get Ty Simpson into a situation where he gets to go in there under Sean McVay, under Matthew Stafford, doesn't have to play right away. There's no expectation on him to play right away. I think it's a great situation for him. And I think it's a great move for the Rams, a team that is already stocked and stacked pretty much all over their roster. They kind of had the luxury to take a guy like that. And now knowing they got him in the 13th pick, they're going to end up being able to have a 5th-year option on him in 2 or 3 years. He could be the guy that starts for them, still playing on a rookie deal. So I think it's a good move for them.
Heading back now towards maybe more of a Bills-centric conversation here, Ty Simpson off the board makes it immensely. Jets. Oh, the Jets picked. Who the Jets pick?
Kenyon Sadiq for the Jets. Wow.
If you could have told me the Dolphins would take Caden Proctor and the Jets would take Kenyon Sadiq, I would have jumped for joy and been absolutely ecstatic. I love this. I love it.
It's great.
I'm not even saying they're bad players. I'm just saying I absolutely freaking love it. Like these two teams are down so bad. They know they're down so bad, and they're just taking some young players that are probably not going to be relevant to their rebuild for at least a couple of years. But
I mean, they just took Mason Taylor last year.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good. That's a good. Those two play off each other well, though. I will say that.
Yeah, they do. They do.
But back to my Bills specific conversation here. Ty Simpson off the board makes it immensely more difficult to trade back now. So like that is the one thing that does stink if you're a Bills fan. Like who's the next quarterback on the board? Carson Beck, Drew Aller, Nussbus, Cole Payton?
I think Nussbus probably or Beck.
No one's trading up for Nussbus.
No one's trading up for Nussbus.
No one's trading up for Carson Beck. Nobody's trading up for Drew Aller. Like so, if you're the Buffalo Bills, what's your hope? Mekhi Lemon drops. Somebody really wants Kendrick Folk. Like, who are maybe taking a look, Dave, at who's left on the board?
Yep.
Who are the guys left on the board that will have teams picking up the phone and calling Brandon Beane and saying, "I need pick 26. I'll give you a pick in the 30s plus a 4th rounder, or I'll give you a pick in the 40s plus a 4th round." Like, who's that guy who's still on the board here with 10 picks to go until the Bills pick?
I mean, Mekhi Lemon is on the board still. He'll get picked, obviously, I think, before the Bills pick. I think he's one. I think that it's possible, and I'm not saying, it's definitely the case, but I certainly think it's possible that a guy like Denzel Boston could intrigue somebody, not me.
There were rumors that the offensive tackles are right around 20. They're going to start to go on a run.
Like Monroe Freeling, maybe? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Monroe Freeling is still available. Blake Miller, Max Ionar,
Lomu is available.
Caleb Lomu, yeah. I've heard some rumblings of like Chase Pasantis, Emmanuel Pregnon slipping into the first round.
I was going to say
someone's even said Keelan Rutledge could find his way into the third. So maybe the offensive lineman, but I can't imagine teams are going to be willing to sell their souls to move up.
No, I think it's certainly looking like that the Bills probably are going to stay put at 26. If I had to bet right now, that's probably where I'm leaning. Like they're going to end up staying pat at 26, but also like, maybe someone wants a Dylan Thiemann, right? Maybe that's a guy that someone wants to come up and draft. Maybe like I said it just a second ago, but Denzel Boston, maybe somebody.
Everyone, their mother is mocking Dylan Thiemann to the Minnesota Vikings. A little Harrison Smith 2.0.
Well, yeah, that's true.
is the rumor. So like maybe that one's the one that's like too good to be true. Everyone's Sabres 3-1 lead, baby. Noah Ostlund. Thank you.
There you
Giving
go.
them a nice little cushion with 2.5 minutes left. So it looks like the Sabres are going to go up to. I'm going to stop saying what I just said. I'm going to knock on some wood here.
That was a
I'll wait
bad.
until the game goes final. Before I make any declarations. But kudos to the Sabres for going up 3-1 here. So that should be exciting. All right, Dave, I have a favor to ask you.
And wait a minute. Is it the Lions that just picked? The Lions have picked.
Traded up? Oh, the Lions have what?
It says
the Lions have picked. Sorry, they are up.
Yep. They have taken Blake Miller, offensive lineman.
There you go. Look at that. Blake Miller off the board. Let's see if anyone had that. Mel Kiper had Monroe Freeling. Dale Jeremiah had Monroe Freeling. Todd McShay. Blake Miller.
Oh, good job, Todd.
So if we are going by these four experts, which I've been following today, Kiper, Schrager, Jeremiah, McShay. Kiper's at 1, 2, 3, 4 picks correct.
Oof.
Schrager's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks correct. Jeremiah 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. McShay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 picks correct.
Good job, McShay. Good job, Todd. Way to go.
And it's Ty Simpson that has put him in the lead. It is the Ty Simpson that has put him in the lead. So, Dave, I have a favor to ask you.
Yep.
Can you hold on the fort for about 2.5 minutes while I use the restroom here?
Yeah, of course.
I am going to bounce out here for about 1 minute, and I'll be right back. But Dave is going to hold on the fort.
Yep. So we are closing it, and congrats on that goal to the Sabres, by the way. The Canes, little hockey update, still up 2-1 right now on the Senators, looking to go up 3-0 in that series for my hometown Hurricanes. So as Walter asked in the cut, who did the Jets get? The Jets got Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, to pair with Mason Taylor, who they drafted a year ago. So the Jets going with the tight end as opposed to the receiver, who I thought made a lot of sense to them. Makai Lemon was who I thought they would probably take there. But instead they go with the tight end, Sadiq, who is largely viewed as the consensus best tight end in this draft. So right now we've got the Lions, who just took Blake Miller, offensive lineman, who we were just saying is good. Let's have some offensive linemen, especially tackles, being taken. And now we have the Minnesota Vikings, who are on the clock at pick 18, who Judge just mentioned before taking a little break, that Dylan Thiemann has been a very popular selection to the Vikings as sort of the Harrison Smith heir apparent there. And at this point, we are now 10 picks away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 picks away, from the Bills pick. So we are closing in on the Bills pick. And I've said it already on the show tonight, but I'm really liking this 8 minutes per pick time clock here. We are on pick 18, who the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock now, and we'll see what they end up doing. But, the Vikings, interesting kind of offseason for them. They obviously had the sort of situation with their GM getting the can, debate on what the real reason was for that. But I think most people will say and point to that team made the wrong decision in letting Sam Darnold walk and relying on JJ McCarthy. And now in this offseason, a lot of more news now at the quarterback position, with the Vikings bringing in Kyler Murray into the fold. So what are they going to do? This is a team that 2 years ago was a 14-win team, with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. So what is the future for the Minnesota Vikings? They obviously took a huge step back last year. Justin Jefferson had his worst season of his career with McCarthy and a mix of Carson Wentz at quarterback there. So do they retool the defense? What's going to happen with Jordan Addison? We don't know. But the Minnesota Vikings looking like they could use some help on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, to replace Harrison Smith at safety. Right now, they have penciled in Joshua Metellus, and Theo Jackson. So certainly, as you said, Judge, as you're back now, Dylan Thiemann makes so much sense here for the Vikings if that's the way they want to go.
Yeah, a lot of teams have slotted him in with that pick. It'll be really interesting. Sabres officially don't have to knock out one anymore. The Sabres are up 3-1 in their series. So kudos to the Sabres for that big dub. Can't wait to get done here and then go watch the highlights of that on YouTube. Super excited for that. So kudos to the Sabres to go up at 3-1. So I haven't seen it yet, but I think maybe in the next 10 to 15 minutes here, we're going to see a little bit of a boost in that number of viewers, but we're over 1,000 right now. So thank you guys so much for being with us. For those of you who have missed it, just a little recap of what we've talked about so far. I've just kind of been right about everything, right? I called Ty Simpson to the Rams. I've called a couple other things here this evening. So humble brag. I've been right about a lot of things. I'm just kidding. So we've had a lot of fun here through the first half of this draft. We're on to the back half now. We've already had this conversation about, like, are the Bills, is Brandon Beane going to get antsy? So Dave, my question to you is this.
There's nothing for me to get antsy about right now.
that was my question for you. Like, put yourself in Brandon Beane's shoes.
Dude, if he's getting antsy now, I'm questioning what he's getting antsy about. Unless it's like a Makai Lemon or something, but that seems
I
just
guarantee
odd.
you, if he's getting antsy right now, it's Peter Woods or Kendrick Falk. And it's for all the reasons we talked about at the top of the show. So this is to harken back. For those of you who have been with us, the OGs since the beginning of the show. I apologize. We're about to sort of repeat a segment here, but at the top of the show, we talked about sort of Peter Schrager's mock draft had Peter Woods going to the Buffalo Bills. And it really got me thinking, that is such a Brandon Beane pick. Who are the guys who in last April, after the 2025 NFL draft was over, the Todd McShays, the Mel Kipers, the Dale Jeremiahs, the guys who were putting out the way too early 2026 mock drafts, who are the guys in the top 15 that are still going to be on the board in the 20s? Because they had a down year. And the three names that we sort of came up with were Peter Woods, Keldrick Falk, and TJ Parker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can just see Brandon Beane getting antsy in his pantsy for like one of those dudes where everyone else is like, what are you doing? Why? So maybe with Sean McDermott gone, this is a different Brandon Beane. To me, this is kind of like a test for me. I'm almost like testing Brandon Beane a little bit. Maybe this is a completely fictitious scenario that I am creating in my head that does not exist because Brandon Beane is not even remotely thinking this way. But right now in my brain, I'm like, all right, those are the three dudes that I think Brandon Beane's going to zero in on based on history.
Mm-hmm.
Prove me wrong, Brandon. Prove me wrong.
Right. And we said also at the top of the show, for those joining now, we were like, did free agency really give us any kind of indication on philosophy wise if there would be any major shifts in sort of like archetypes or types of players? Did someone Vikings
Minnesota has picked, it's one of our favorites, the first defensive tackle off the board, Caleb Banks. Off the board. And we have the first player from the Bills specific big board off the board. I had Caleb Banks as my fifth defensive lineman because the foot injury scared me, not because he's a bad player.
Yeah.
And
that's
I had
a high
him
ceiling pick though for the
I had him as a high ceiling player, as you just mentioned. I had him as a top 40 guy. I had him slotted on my big board as a trade back early round 2 candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So the first player off my big board is off the board. Let me check the specific number in which he was on my big board. He was my Bills specific 12th ranked player.
Yep.
And
so
my 12th ranked player is now off the big board, but I will say fully healthy, he might have probably been higher.
Yeah, and they had Jake Redmond slotted in as their nose tackle, so this is a big need for them. I mean, look at that division, right? You got Josh Jacobs running against you. You've got Gibbs and Montgomery's not there. What is Montgomery's not on the line still? Is he? Did they get rid of him?
No, he got traded to Houston.
Yeah, he got. That's right. So you got Gibbs, you got Jacobs with Green Bay, and then you got obviously DeAndre Swift still with the Bears. So like they needed to shore that up. Makes sense to me. I think that yeah. Esther Stroot says 8 minutes to pick, but double the commercial breaks.
Yeah, the Lions pick is just getting announced.
Yeah, and no commercial
Make
breaks
a wish
on
though.
the air raid hour, so all good there.
Just
Yeah,
me going radio silent for 2 minutes so I can go to the bathroom. So
and the Panthers are up. My hometown team. Well,
your hometown team.
not
So you got
exactly
some
hometown.
insight here.
Home state team.
Going through the mock drafts, Mel Kiper has Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Peter Schrager has Blake Miller, so that's not going to happen. Dale Jeremiah has Dylan Thieneman, and Todd McShay has Dylan Thieneman. So maybe people are hearing some things. 3 safeties, 3 of the 4 guys here picked a safety, so maybe a little positional hint or indicator here for the Carolina Panthers. But I've been hearing wide receiver on the random things that I see on Twitter. The Carolina Panthers always seem like the kind of team that's willing to pull the trigger on a wide receiver, taking Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette in back-to-back years. Do they go 3 straight years taking a wide receiver in the first round?
I mean, you got Legette, you got
McMillan. Oh, you have Tet, Legette, and then Lemon could slot right in there in the slot.
Seems very nice pick for them if they do that. I don't really, I mean, obviously these guys are the experts and they know, but like with Nick Scott and Trayvon Merrig, and they drafted Lathan Ransom last year, like unless they like really love Thieneman or McNeil Warren, I don't know that safety makes a lot of sense for them. I could maybe understand it if they want to pair Merrig with one of those guys and like bump Nick Scott back into like a reserve role. That I could understand that. But Lemon in the slot with Legette and McMillan on the outside would be pretty awesome, I think, for a guy like Bryce Young. You know, they have Jalen Coker. I get that. They brought in John Mechie. I get that. But, like, man, Lemon would come in and be the starting slot, I think, from day one if they wanted to go that direction.
And I'm going through now because I just had, like, a little interesting thought pump into my head, and my computer is not.
Panthers have picked.
Oh, what's the pick here?
Monroe Freeling for the Panthers.
Tackle.
Yes.
All right. So they go tackle. So Peter Schrager was right about the position, but Blake Miller was off the board. So they do take a tackle, and they go with Monroe Freeling. I think that's an interesting guy. Not a lot of snaps played.
No.
For Monroe.
I mean, that also makes sense, though, because, you know, Moten is getting older. Ikonwu, the NC State guy, he struggles a bit at tackle. I think he'd be better suited to move back inside, to be honest. So I don't mind this pick for the Panthers trying to just like really protect Bryce Young here. Their line wasn't terrible last year. It wasn't good, but, you know, trying to protect Bryce Young and give him a nice tackle, I don't mind it. But you're right, not a lot of snaps, but man, 6'7", 315. It's got the huge wingspan, 84-inch wingspan. 10 almost 11-inch hands. I mean, man, he's a beast, that guy.
And thank you, R Navy 76. I didn't hit the mute button soon enough. I sneezed down there, so I apologize for that. I was aiming for the mute button and I missed. Didn't get there in time. There are 2 players that I did not put on my Bills specific big board because I was convinced they would not be on the board when the Bills picked at 26. There are 2 of said players left. Those 2 players, Mekhi Lemon, Dylan Thieneman.
Yeah. And those are 2 players also, if the Bills aren't sold on either one, they might get trade offers for.
We met with Thieneman at the Combine. There's no reported interest in Mekhi Lemon. I have not heard about a pro day visit or a private workout or a Zoom or anything. That doesn't mean these things did not happen. It just means it was not reported. So the question now becomes, and this is probably more of a question for the Eric Turners and the Anthony Prohaskas of the world, like, if Mekhi Lemon's on the board at 26, A, do you pull the trigger? And B, how do they fit with Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir on the board? Right. So that's where it gets really interesting. Us laymen here, both of us have kind of settled in and said, if Mekhi Lemon's on the board at 26, you should probably start dangling the pick for a trade.
Yeah, maybe, or just take them, right? I think that's fine too. And it looks like the Eagles have traded in the division with the Cowboys here and moved up to get ahead of the Steelers. So that's interesting.
Is this the offensive line run that we have been promised? So this could be a spot for the Arizona State tackle. I think I should know how to pronounce his name by now, but Max Ianakor. I think this is the guy the Lions could be targeting here. He's very raw, but there's like a lot of like Lane Johnson, to his game.
Yeah. And I mean, is Lane Johnson how much does Lane Johnson have left? I think like that's like a guy in the wings type of pick for the Eagles, but their depth at tackle is really bad. Like, I mean, they got like nobody behind Malata and Johnson.
And it's just a conversation too, where Jeff Stoutland, I believe, was the Eagles offensive line coach forever. And they were in the room and they were asking him a question like, and it was Stoutland or it was somebody else. I saw this story on social media. So I apologize if I have the person who is being quoted wrong. It might not be Jeff Stoutland, but someone in the Eagles organization was like, Lane Johnson might not be the best tackle now, but Lane Johnson will be the best tackle 3 years from now of the guys who are available at our pick. I think you can seriously make the conversation with Max not sure. I think you can make that conversation that like 3 or 4 years from now, we're talking about him as the best tackle in this draft because he's fairly new to football. He's got all that raw athletic ability. He's held up pretty well. Like the Texas Tech game held up really well against David Bailey and Romello Height. Like, I think he's a guy that could be an interesting selection here and end up being one of the better picks of the first round a couple years from now.
And look, Howie Roseman he's almost like been given not a pass, but like he can kind of do whatever he wants here, and like we really don't have a lot of right to question.
Hey, the Mekhi Lemon question no longer has to be a problem. The Philadelphia Eagles, you got AJ Brown on one side, you have Devonta Smith on another side, and you have Mekhi Lemon in the slot now.
Wow.
And you're the Buffalo Bills. You have DJ Moore, Keon Coleman, Josh Baldwin.
Okay, well, the Eagles, the rich get richer, I guess, here with the Eagles. I mean, glad he's in the NFC, but man, that's a nice pick for them. Saquon, Mekhi Lemon, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, maybe
an absolute Madden roster.
Maybe now it makes it a little bit easier for. I mean, I know he's a slot guy, but maybe it makes it a little bit easier to trade AJ Brown now. Swallow that trade if you're the Eagles, but probably not going to happen to the Patriots, right? Based on all the the reporting or what we assume is inside reporting. Yeah, but at least at least it's not in the AFC, I guess, right? So that's interesting. So now Mekhi Lemon's off the board, so that's a player that now no longer a potential either trade up or trade down if he got to you. But we are now at pick 21, so we are closing in here now on only 5 picks away until the Bills make their selection. So we got the Steelers, Chargers, Cowboys, Browns, and Bears right now slotted ahead of the Bills. Those are the 5 teams right now picking before the Bills.
And just for an update, there's one player that I would have put on my Bills specific big board had I known he would have lasted to this range. That is Dylan Thiemann. He would have been on my big board. I probably would have put him number 2 behind KC Concepcion. So I still would take Concepcion over Dylan Thiemann. Only one player from my Bills specific big board has been taken off the board, and that is Caleb Banks.
Yep.
So all these names that we have been talking about, Concepcion, Omar Cooper Jr., Christian Miller, Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, Keldrick Falk, Malachi Lawrence, Akeem Mesidor, R. Mason Thomas, Jacob Rodriguez, they are Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. They are all still on the board for the Buffalo Bills to choose from right now. It'll be really interesting to see which direction Brandon Beane decides to go, and I just listed 10 guys. Maybe he tries to make the decision to trade back. But with Ty Simpson now out of play, I think a lot more difficult to trade back. There's no name outside
Lemon
of
was the
Dylan
guy.
Thiemann. Maybe one of the corners like McCoy or something, but like
who's
still on the board where you would trade up for? Who's on the board where you trade up for?
I think someone could. I still will say, and I've said it before. I think someone would potentially trade up for Denzel Boston. I'm not saying like. I'm saying it for another team, right? I don't think for the Bills, I'd love it, but I think another team could be interested if you're looking at Denzel Boston versus Casey Concepcion, if you really want a outside boundary, big body type of guy, and those are the top two receivers on the board for you, like Omar Cooper Jr. isn't that guy. Casey Concepcion isn't that guy. Like, if someone really likes Denzel Boston, maybe that's a name that someone would want to trade up for.
All right. If you could do me a second favor, my daughter wants a good night hug, so I'm going to mute myself here real quick.
Yeah, all good. So Mekhi Lemon gets picked, and Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock. So I mentioned who is now picking before the Bills. We got the Steelers, the Chargers, the Cowboys, the Browns, and the Bears right now are the teams slotted right now against or on the clock before the Bills. We are now only 5 picks away from the Bills making this pick, which at this point probably should come in sometime around, it wouldn't surprise me if this pick comes in sometime around 10:15, 10:20 at the rate we're going here with the way the picks are coming in. They seem to be coming in every about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe every 5 minutes. So we should get this pick in for the Bills before 10:30 at this rate. And we're just waiting now on seeing what the Steelers might do with their pick. So look, a lot of guys still on the board. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is a guy I would really like to consider. I would consider a guy like Akeem Mesidor. I know that people have their mixed feelings on him. Peter Woods is still on the board. People have their mixed feelings on him as well. Would be a big fan of a Caden McDonald selection at pick 26. That's a player that is really high on my list still. So, there are options here for the Bills, and there will be one of these options. Christian Miller is an option as well. And yeah, I think Jacob Rodriguez seems to be a wild card that people are talking about. I know Eric has really done a lot of film work on Jacob Rodriguez and is super high on him. I don't know if he's worth the pick at 26, but the Bills, they may have a pretty big need there if you're not sold on Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams being the off-ball linebackers for this team. I like Caden McDonald right now, probably as the my top option that's still on the board. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is pretty high on my list too. Those would probably be the two guys that I'd be the tops on my list. Mesidor coming in maybe right behind those guys. But then you have like Keldrick Falk, who's still sitting out there. So like I said, there are a number of options still for the Bills. Casey Concepcion, if you want to go wide receiver, still out there. So any one of those 5 guys I just mentioned should still be on the board if the Bills stay put at 26. And now we're just waiting for the Steelers to their pick.
The pick is in as per the television. So ESPN is pretty decently up to date. I think this does, though, indicate for the Eagles that A.J. Brown's probably as good as gone. Probably a New England Patriot based on some pretty solid reporting. I think we
solid
should be pretty
insider reporting, we would say. I don't know. I feel like they should keep A.J. Brown, but I don't know. They probably
Jalen Hurts gets A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Mekhi Lemon to throw to. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts.
They should keep him.
Yeah. All right. Pittsburgh's on the clock here. A lot of people want to say tackle. Again, we still have a guy like Max E. Anachor still on the board, but Sebro says inside her reporting. That's I hadn't heard that one yet.
That's a good one. I like that. That's good.
So there have been numerous reports that there is going to be this run of offensive linemen. You have Pittsburgh. Makes sense they would take an offensive lineman. Their offensive line is always terrible. Chargers. What makes sense that they took an offensive lineman. Who did Philly trade up with? Dallas?
Yep. So Dallas is now picking 23rd, I believe. A couple picks before us.
I would guess that they doubled down on defense. But then you have Cleveland, who already took an offensive lineman, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Cleveland took
Cleveland could be the team to take Concepcion.
Yep.
Could be the team to go wide receiver. So
they could be.
That could be interesting. And then you have Chicago standing right in front of us there at 25. So it's going to get really interesting now as we get down to the nitty gritty of it. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. The pick is in, and they have taken an offensive tackle. They have taken the second Arizona State Sun Devil taken in the first round this year, by the way, Max Ihanachor. So Max Ihanachor off the board to the Pittsburgh Steelers. As I was saying, and team fit means something too, because now I'm less confident. But I was saying about 5 minutes ago when I thought possibly he could go to the Philadelphia Eagles in that situation, I was like, yeah, Max Ihanachor, he could be a guy who 3 years from now we're talking about is the best tackle in the draft. Still could now that he's gone to Pittsburgh, but less confident. So now that he's in Pittsburgh as opposed to the Philadelphia Eagles, because sometimes the situation you're drafted into does matter. But looking at it, Todd McShay again.
Wow.
He's got another one.
He's killing it.
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 correct picks now for Todd McShay. Everyone else is falling sorely, sorely behind.
I'm just going to take a quick look at the Chargers roster and see who they might be.
Mel Kiper has Peter Woods going here. Peter Schrager has Keldrick Falk going here. Daniel Jeremiah had Ione going here. Ione's off the board, so maybe Basantis or Pregnon. And then Tom McShay had Caden McDonald. So a lot of defensive linemen, and then one offensive lineman from Daniel Jeremiah who's already off the board.
I mean, they have Dalvin Tomlinson, added Dalvin Tomlinson to the mix at nose tackle, but Caden McDonald just seems, I mean, will Harbaugh go with an Ohio State guy? I mean, be kind of.
I don't think there are any Wolverines he can take off the board yet. I think it might be a little too early for Derek Moore or Jayshawn Barman.
Too early for them, but maybe he'll stay away from Caden and go for a guy like Peter Woods, although that doesn't seem like a real fit for.
We just know the Bears are going to take Caden one pick before.
Probably. Although let's take Chargers still have Derwin James, but a free safety, Elijah Molden. Is it possible they could take Thieneman? Maybe they could use some cornerback help. The Chargers could. So maybe we see a corner, maybe the first corner taken, maybe a Cisse, or maybe we see a guy like Pons get picked here by the Chargers. I don't know. It's a wild card, but it's possible. Although I'm just trying to talk them out of taking a defensive tackle, because I want all of the defensive tackle options available to the Bills at 26. So
yeah, it'll be. Denzel Boston is still sticking out there though.
I know.
So trust me, this isn't me just trying to maybe accept anything or anything like that. I've been on record saying I do not think as highly of Denzel Boston as other people. You're not going to catch me calling him Mike Evans light, like some people have been calling him. But if the Bills do pick him at 26, I understand it. My pro comp for him is maybe a more consistent, slightly higher ceiling Mac Hollins, which is not an insult. Mac Hollins was a starting wide receiver, and Walter comes in and says acceptance is the first step. This is how it happens, right? He was a starting wide receiver on a Super Bowl team this year, right? And he was a very good fit here in the role that he played. I just don't think it's worth pick 26. And just there are just not a lot of receivers in the National Football League who win in the ways that Denzel Boston wins. Because you point out Mike Evans, yes, Mike Evans wins in the way Denzel Boston wins. I don't think Denzel Boston is the next Mike Evans, though. I just don't. So not very many guys win in the way Denzel Boston wins in the National Football League. His yards per route run against zone, he just doesn't get open against zone coverage. It's not great, guys. So, again, maybe he had a private workout with the Bills. He's slated to go somewhere in this range. Maybe someone takes him off the board before the Buffalo Bills pick, but Denzel Boston is a possibility. Obviously, Casey Concepcion is a possibility. Have you bought into the rumor yet that Justin Jolly, the NC State tight end, was brought into Buffalo for a top 30 visit? Not because the Buffalo Bills are interested in a tight end, but because the Buffalo Bills are interested in talking to Casey Concepcion's teammate from NC State.
It's possible. I will also say that, it's hard to judge KC really based, especially on his sophomore year at NC State, where it was just an absolute abysmal situation for him with the quarterback there and Bailey. bringing in the super chat here. It says, we all want DT, so you take a safety and like it. I mean, look, I'll take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. I'll take Dylan Thiemann. If you want to draft one of those two guys, you will not see me getting upset about that. Now, would I prefer Caden McDonald? Probably. But if they take McNeil-Warren or Thiemann, not going to be upset about it. As far as KC is concerned, like, just tough to, like, yeah, you can they can get some intel on him about how he was as a teammate. By all accounts, he was a great teammate at NC State. He did everything they asked of him. It was a really tough situation for him, especially in 2024. They basically exclusively used him around the line of scrimmage. You probably felt like you were watching Bills games last year with all the wide receiver screens they were running to him out of the slot, and his yards per reception was abysmal, was like 8 point something. And then he goes to A&M last year and he doubles that. He's like a 15 yards per reception guy and just shows you what kind of player he can be. And look, if him and Denzel Boston are both on the board and you have someone calling up to you to try to make a trade, and you maybe want KC, but you have a trade offer on the table, like that's going to be interesting, I think. And the Chargers take one of my guys here. My no matter what edge player has gone to the Chargers in Akeem Mesidor.
All right, let's see. No one of the 4 experts that I decided to follow today had Akeem Mesidor off the board.
That one stings a little.
The second of my big board players off. He was my 5th ranked edge. I had him behind Zion Young and Gabe Yakis. The age and the injuries were a concern to me. I had him as a trade back into the 2nd round guy, and I had him as my 21st overall. I know he was your guy, and I don't want to be disrespectful to you, but for me, this is one of those ones where it's a sigh of relief. It's like, let someone else take that guy.
And that's
because
fair.
of the age, because of the injuries. Obviously the tape is the tape, and he's a quality football player, but to me, the upside wasn't as exciting as some of the other prospects. But at the end of the day, could be wrong.
And I will say
the floor is higher.
The floor is high, but I would also say, like, out of the guys that are left on the board, he still would have been below McDonald for me. And honestly, now I'm like seeing Thiemann and McNeil-Warren both still on the board. Like, I mean, both of those guys are going to be pretty tempting to me. There's some good talent still on the board. You still have Keldrick Falk, obviously. Peter Woods is still on the board. Casey Concepcion. And now we're only a couple picks away from the Bills. We've got 3 picks before the Bills pick.
And only 2 players off of my Bills-specific big board are off the board, and that is Caleb Banks and Akeem Mesidor. Only one player I would have added had I thought he'd be on the board at this point was not on my Bills-specific big board, and that is Dylan Thiemann. So,
and your number 1 guy on your board is still available as well.
My number 1 guy is still available. That is Casey Concepcion. My number 2 is still available. That is Omar Cooper Jr. My number 3, Christian Miller, is still available. My number 4, Malachi Lawrence, is still available. My number 5, Caden McDonald, is still available. And my number 6, Jacob Rodriguez, is still available.
Sounds like you could be really feeling a trade down if all of those guys are still available, except for KC. Obviously, I think you'd want them to take him if he was there.
One thing that I do miss, because we're live and I can't watch things on my phone with full volume, Dolphins fans having complete meltdowns over the Caden Proctor pick. So I can't wait. I bookmarked a couple of those things that I saw on Twitter for after the show. I'm going to enjoy that tonight, watching Dolphins fan meltdown over Caden Proctor. I'm sure our guy Kevin Sherrard is drinking himself to sleep tonight with that Caden Proctor.
Yeah. And I've had a couple of my friends who are Jets fans text me saying, "Oh, I like what the Jets have done this for." I'm like, dude, you like this do every year. You had the 2nd and 16th pick. Like, of course you're gonna like what they've done. Like you had the 2nd pick.
Remember that year you took 4 guys in the first round? You like that one too.
I'm just like, yeah, you like what the Jets are doing. Like, of course, yeah, you got a stud tight end and you got a stud pass rusher. Like, what's not to like?
So the Cowboys are back on the clock here. This is where it gets interesting. They could go corner. Hopefully they go corner, because there are some corners that I would prefer get taken off the board that aren't on my Bill specific big board. Colton Hood, Gerard McCoy, things like that. But they could go wide receiver, because you don't know the future of George Pickens. They could go wide receiver. But I think Dallas is going to go defense here. So I think Dallas, I have a suspicion that Dallas is going to take a player that the Bills would enjoy adding to their football team here with pick number 23. I think one of these defensive players that we like is going to come off the board here.
Yep. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. I mean, I think, and just a side note, the Canes did hold on to win 2-1. So they are now up 3-0 on the Senators. And I know the Sabres are up 2-1 on the Bruins. So that's nice for both of us there. And yeah, I agree.
I need that redemption, that Eastern Conference final, Bill Sabres. We need that redemption here.
I mean, if it's Canes, Sabres, and the Eastern Conference Finals, something's got to give, because the Canes are literally the Bills of hockey. Like, they just get to the finals or they get deep in the playoffs every year.
I don't know how long you've been in Raleigh, but you do know that the Sabres and the Canes met in the Drury-Briere era in the Eastern Conference Finals. Sabres were down about 3 injured defensemen, should have won that series and didn't, and that was the year the Canes won it all.
Yeah, 2006, the Canes
should have been the Sabres. That should have been the Sabres Cup right there. Just saying. We were healthy. That was our cup.
It's North Carolina's only major professional sports championship, and I know Buffalo's still waiting for their first, but we only have hockey. We don't have any other professional sports team.
Yeah, but you got Duke, you got UNC. Like,
I don't like any of those teams. I'm an NC State guy, man.
That's true. Dude,
we do have
Duke UNC country, and you choose to root for NC State.
No, they're Raleigh and Durham and Chapel Hill are all around each other. I lived in Raleigh for.
Don't
tell me.
My guy at edge comes off the board. One pick after your guy at edge comes off the board. Malachi Lawrence to the Dallas Cowboys. So my number 4 overall player on my Bills specific big board is gone. And that is Malachi Lawrence. He was my number 1 Bills specific edge. He was my number 4 overall player, and he is off the board. Malachi Lawrence to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to let you talk while I take a drink.
Yep. Little geography lesson just for everyone. Like, I live in Cary, which is basically almost directly in between Raleigh and Durham. So I am not in Duke and UNC country. I'm in all 3 of their countries. All 3 of them. Anyway, Cowboys having a nice draft so far. Malachi Lawrence and Caleb Downs. That stings. I know he was your no matter what. I know he was your no matter what edge, and I was kind of coming around to putting him on my short list as well for that pick right there, especially with Messidor then off the board. Now I'm kind of leaning away from edge, and it's unfortunate because the Bills really do have a need at pass rusher, and 2 guys go back to back here.
Yeah. I mean, for Malachi Lawrence, the last 2 seasons at UCF, 68 pressures, 12 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 6'4", 253, 34-inch arms. He had a huge Shrine Week. He had a really good combine as well, a 9.9 RAS, even though he didn't do a full workout. His 10-yard split, 87th percentile, 40-yard dash, 95th percentile, vertical, 96th percentile, broad jump, 97th percentile, explosive get off as a pass rusher. Even though he looks like a bendy edge, he's not the bendiest edge in the world. He's a kind of guy who uses his length to his advantage. He knows how to use those long arms. He knows how to create that advantage. He has a pass rush bag. Like, you love Dikembe Messidor because of his pass rush bag. I love Malachi Lawrence because of his pass rush bag. He never repeated a move in any of the series that I watched him in. He was always pulling out something different and giving it guys different things to throw at. His motor's always running hot. Yes, he's an average run defender. Yes, he doesn't set the edge well, but as a pass rusher, he was a Josh Sweat type. So I think he's going to fit really well in that Christian Parker defense there in Dallas. I'm really mad that he's off the board. Again, my number 4 overall Bills specific player and my number 1 edge.
And, the array of pass rush moves is really was the biggest reason that Messidor was my no matter what edge for my list, because he also very varied in his moves. And had a ton of success in sort of mixing things up as well. So 2 guys right there that both had, I would say maybe arguably the two guys outside of Reuben Bain and David Bailey that had the most complete pass rush arsenal in this draft. So now you're talking about the guys that are still on the board, like Cassius Howell or R. Mason Thomas or Gabe Yakis, TJ Parker. Like, those are the types of edge players still on the board. And it would feel like a little bit of a letdown probably now if the Bills saw 2 edge players go in a row and then end up taking one of those other guys. But maybe.
Oh,
Don't tell
my
me.
number one overall player is off the board.
Casey
Casey Concepcion to the Cleveland Browns.
As you predicted.
Yeah.
As you predicted.
I knew these last couple of picks would sting. We had survived most of the top 25 without any of the top players coming off the board. But my number one overall Bill specific player is now off the board in Casey Concepcion, and oh God, comes in and says trade back. To me, I said it at the top of the show. I'll say it again. If Casey Concepcion was not on the board, to me, it's trade back. Trade back. Dylan Thieneman has me questioning that a little bit. But without walking out of the first round with Casey Concepcion, I find it very difficult to believe that there's any player the Bills could select at 26 that wouldn't leave me disappointed knowing we weren't going to pick again until 91.
Silver lining. We don't have to hear Bill So Jay Clark, touche, man, because that is so true. We'll just have to hear him complaining that we didn't trade up for him. We'll still get complaints because that's what Bills Mafia does. But I will say, with one pick to go here, Caden McDonald, Dylan Thieneman, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I'm fine with any three of those guys if the Bills stay pat at 26. If Caden McDonald is available at pick 26 and the Bills don't get a trade offer they like to move down, I would want them to take him. Where is Caden McDonald? I'm curious on your overall Bills board.
He is my number 2 defensive lineman behind Christian Miller. I have Christian Miller higher than Caden McDonald because of the pass rush upside. And Caden McDonald is my 5th overall player. Concepcion and Malachi Lawrence are off the board, though. So if we were following my Bills-specific draft board, it would be Omar Cooper Jr., Christian Miller, and then Caden McDonald. Jacob Rodriguez would follow Caden McDonald.
Yeah, and I mean, all 4 of those guys potentially can be in play. But again, that's a list of 4 or 5 guys. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you can move down a bit. I just would hate to pass on a Caden McDonald just to trade down and, get a 4th round pick out of it when you could just take the guy right there that could come in and really help you shore up some of that run defense. So I like that idea too, Joe, Thieneman and Bishop, as well as McNeil-Warren and Bishop. I would be fine with either one of those guys. And so I'm probably leaning right now to not trade down and just take one of those guys. That's where my gut is telling me right now. I think those 3 guys right there are still pretty solidly strong picks at pick 26. I know people will get upset about taking a safety at pick 26, but I would be fine with it. It's the long game there. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson here for 1 year. We'll see.
It is important to remember too. Again, new coaching staff, right? So new defensive coordinator, new scheme, new this, new that. But last year, Tyleik Williams said, I thought I was going to be a Buffalo Bill. So that's an important thing to note, I think, because the GM is still the same. So Caden McDonald, Tyleik Williams, Ohio State, Brandon Beane, that's the only pro day he went to was Ohio State's pro day. So that's something important to note as well. But the Chicago Bears are on the clock. The Bills are 2 picks away. Again, if we are looking at my Bills specific draft board, my 2 of my top 5 guys are off the board in Casey Concepcion and Malachi Lawrence. Also off the board in my Bills specific big board are Akeem Mesidor and Caleb Banks. So if we were going off of my board, it's Omar Cooper Jr., Christian Miller, Caden McDonald, Jacob Rodriguez, Peter Woods, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Keldrick Falk, D'Angelo Pons, R. Mason Thomas, Chase Besantis, Emmanuel Pregnon, Traydon Sukes. Now we're starting to get into the mud a little bit here.
Yep.
The name that I'm lower on than other names is Denzel Boston, who could show up here. I don't know, man. Are the stars aligning for the guy that I have been staunchly the most anti in this entire draft process? in Denzel Boston going to the Bills at pick 26. And then the second guy I'm most staunchly anti-opposed to, TJ Parker going to the Bills at 26.
Yeah, watch. It's going to be TJ Parker. You know,
it's gonna be Denzel Boston or TJ. Like, I have found that I just don't like Brandon Beane, and Brandon Beane doesn't like me. I feel like that has
some
become
people
a
just don't like each
theme.
other, and that's okay.
I feel like that has become a recurring, and I say that kind of lightheartedly, right? But like, he has made some decisions the last couple of years that just made me going like, well, I'm out on this guy. And then now every time Brandon Beane like opens his mouth, I'm just like, okay, why am I listening to this? I feel like I'm wasting my time because like he has turned coach speak into a whole new level. Like his press conference was awful. I didn't think he got anything of value out of that press conference from him earlier this week. But I'm going to put the negativity aside. We're 2 picks away from the Buffalo. I'm zipping it up. I'm putting the negativity away until we pick. Dave, we're 2 picks away. The Bears have not picked yet. Make your prediction here 2 picks away. Name 2 players. 1, 2. Who are the 2 players you take right now in order?
Caden McDonald and Dylan Thiemann.
All right, so Thiemann makes it tough. I'm going to say Dylan Thiemann and then Omar Cooper Jr.
Okay. I mean, and I'd be fine. Look, I know I haven't really mentioned Omar Cooper Jr. much because, you know, he's been sort of your guy.
Thiemann could go to the Bears here.
Yeah, and he did. So there you
go.
Whoa,
he did?
Yes.
All right, so my top 2 players are off the board. So the Bears get a second round pick from the Bills and then replace DJ Moore with Omar. So Omar Cooper Jr. is a Chicago Bear.
No. Thiemann is.
Thiemann went to the Bears. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Thiemann is off the board to the Bears. So I didn't even have him on my board. All right. So the Bills are on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
They probably want to trade back. If I'm looking at this board, I want to trade back. But I don't think anyone. There's no buyers. I can't imagine a world where anyone wants to trade up for any of these dudes. Respectfully.
No. And Denzel Boston is the only one that I can maybe see a team maybe being interested in.
My brain says Keldrick Falk, Peter Woods, or TJ Parker. My heart wants Omar Cooper Jr., Christian Miller, or Jacob Rodriguez.
I also, yeah. I mean,
Cade McDonald. I'll take Cade McDonald too.
My brain is telling me it's one of the Clemson guys or Keldrick Falk as well. My heart wants Caden McDonald, McNeil, or McNeil Warren at this point. Those would be the 2. And Cooper as a wild card for me as well. I think I'd be good with that. I'd also be fine with Christian Miller if that's the case.
The Bills trade out. Houston.
They do.
Houston.
Okay.
We found a suiter, baby.
It's
Keldrick Falk to Houston. That is the rumor I heard this week on social media.
Okay.
So if Houston's pick here, I think is going to be Keldrick Falk. But yes, Buffalo has found a suitor. What does that mean? Where are we dropping back to?
Okay, I'm taking a look at the second round here. Houston had pick 38. No, because
they have 28. Oh, no. Yeah, they have pick 28.
So maybe we are just moving down to 28. That would make sense.
Oh, that would be great. If we pick up a 4th rounder and move back to 28. But then again, what did Miami get for the 1 spot trade back? 2 fifths?
2 fifths, yep.
If we could get a 4th rounder here
and those
2 spots.
And those 2 fifths were comp picks, so they were the very end of the 5th.
So it shows us at 28 on the board. Baby.
I'm trying to see the details of what we got. I mean, I hope we got at least a 4th rounder out of it.
And we get to keep on going. We get to continue the show. I know Greg and Aaron are watching. Greg and Aaron, you guys can take a seat. You can relax a little bit, right?
Also,
your time will come. We get to go on for 2 more picks here, baby.
Well, yeah, and Greg also told me earlier in the week that he wouldn't step on us after the Bills pick.
They're the stars of the show. We know our place.
We know our role. Yes. We know our role. Yes, we are.
But dude, a double trade back like James. It worked out for us last time. What did we double trade back for James Cook? Can we double trade back?
All right,
someone said we robbed. Did Brandon Beane finally win a draft day trade?
Spider 21 saying 28,
26 and 91 for 28, 63, and 168. Brandon Beane, let's go.
Wait, what do you?
Yes. Draft Diamonds is reporting Bills trade 26 and 91 in exchange for 28, 63, and 168. We are back in it, baby, in the top 165.
Okay,
Yes.
so we trade up from
Brandon,
the third.
you have won me back. You have won me back, Brandon.
So 168, that's a 6th rounder, I'm assuming.
Was that a double trade back for Keon Coleman, though? Was that a double trade back?
So we pick up a pick at the end of the 2nd round, and we just drop down 2 spots in the 1st. We give up our 3rd rounder, but we do get to move up. We do get a 2nd rounder now.
Somebody do the math on the charts. I don't want to do a math live on show here on the charts.
Yeah, and we also pick up 168, which I believe is a 6th rounder.
Do you want to do the trade value chart math while I sort of talk a little bit here?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so the Bills are back in play in the 2nd round, which excites me. I'm really interested in doing the math here, but we've given up 26. We've given up 91. We get 28, 69, and then 167, which is so Saturday is going to be insane. We have 165, 167, 168. So imagine being that team. I don't even know who it is at 166, wedged in between 3 Bills draft picks. So that should be fun. And you're looking, my prediction here is Houston takes Keldrick Folk. So we'll see where Houston goes with this pick. I think they like that high upside guy, that DeForest Buckner maybe type of player that D'Amico Ryans is comfortable with, that he's had experience with. But based on what we saw, right, at least on my Bills specific board that you can see at the bottom of your screen here, Concepcion, Lawrence, Banks, and Mazador were gone. But Omar Cooper Jr., Christian Miller, Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, Keldrick Folk, Jacob Rodriguez, R. Mason Thomas, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Lee Hunter. Some people will say Denzel Boston. Obviously, I'm not as big a fan as Denzel Boston as others. Like CJ Allen. Some people might say CJ Allen. Again, not. The Texans took Keelan. Oh, dude, another one of my guys is off the board. Keelan Rutledge.
Okay.
Oh, dang. All right. So Keelan Rutledge is off the board. He was my fourth ranked guard because I didn't have Ione on there, but my 3rd ranked Bills specific guard. And I actually had him ranked as my 23rd overall player on my Bills specific board. So Keelan Rutledge off the board. I think that's a great pick for Houston, by the way. That's the best thing they've done for their offensive line in years.
I'm using Over the Caps trade value chart, which is the Fitzgerald Spielberger NFL trade value chart. I'll check another one after this, but according to their chart, the Bills' 2 picks were worth 2,063 points, 1,349 and 714 for 26 in 91. And the Texans' picks were worth 2,614 points, so 1,311, 943. So it's about almost a 600-point advantage for the Bills, according to that trade value chart. So I'll check a few others.
The Dolphins have traded up in front of the Bills.
Caden McDonald.
Now we're getting crazy here, folks. The Dolphins have traded in front of the Bills, so now we might get a little sad here. But I'll tell you what. This is the first time Brandon Beane has made a trade in a long while on draft day where I haven't been like, what the hell?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So it made sense. He won it on paper. So kudos to him. I'll give credit where it's credit's due. But the Dolphins have apparently traded with the 49ers. The Dolphins are on the clock now at 27. So the Dolphins have a chance to throw a wrench. If you're the Dolphins, right, you're trading up. It's to jump the Bills. Cooper Jr., Miller, McDonald, Peter Woods, Keldrick Folk. At the rate they're going, taking Caden Proctor, they're taking Keldrick Folk now.
Yeah.
They're taking all upside guys. Right?
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, Keldrick Folk was to
me.
Remember when I was naming the youngest prospects, he was on the list. So
so to me, Draft Diamond says watch the Dolphins take a receiver. Dolphins trade 30 and 90 for 127 for 27 and 138.
I feel like the Bills made out really well on that trade. Someone says
Colton Hood. That'd be great if it's Colton Hood. But yeah, I think the Dolphins are just going with young upside guys. So to me, that would Keldrick Folk would fit the Bills. If they take Denzel Boston, I would be so happy if they took Denzel Boston. You don't even understand how happy I would be.
I'm just looking at this trade still for the Bills, and it's like they dropped 2 spots, and they basically moved up 30 spots
Brandon
from
Bean,
round
baby.
3 to round 2, and then also got a 6th rounder, which they can use for ammo as well if they needed to.
Big
So
baller Bean.
I think,
we got a third pick.
yeah,
Oh, I didn't even
168.
notice that. Look
Yeah,
at that.
168.
Yes, 160. No, 167. That's a 5th rounder.
Oh, is it? I thought that was
Oh,
okay. So
dude, we fleeced him, bro.
yeah, fleeced them.
Because, like I said, we have 165 and 168 already. So now we have 165, 167, 168. Who is that team at 166? Somebody let us know in the comments who has pick 166. Those poor guys have to pick around the Bills.
I'm gonna check it.
I did not think the Bills could get that kind of return. So kudos to Brandon Bean. I did not think, especially with Ty Simpson off the board, I did not think that they could get that kind of return.
He had to take that, right?
And it's the Jags.
Jags at 166. So yeah, the Bills. I mean, that's 3 picks at the end of the tail end of the 5th round. I mean, really, not super tail end, more the middle tail end, but yeah, that's 3 picks in the 5th that then can be used for ammo. Like maybe we see them come back up into the 3rd tomorrow, like potentially, right? So we we'll see. Because pick 63 is a late 2nd, right? That's the Texans late 2nd rounder. So yeah, so that's a 2nd rounder you got. You moved up from pick 91 to pick 63, and you basically move up 30 spots in that trade to only really move down 2 spots in the 1st round. So I think that's a really good haul for the Bills. Certainly a better return than I was expecting them to get from trading down. So let's see what they do with it. Obviously, they still got to now kind of make the pick and see what they do with it. But I think at least for now, that seems like a really nice move for the Bills. 69, not 63. Oh, okay. So that must have been a misprint from draft time.
Yeah. Because Bills PR says Bills have acquired picks 28, 69, and 167. So that must have been a typo.
Yeah,
we've been
typo.
following.
That's still an early 3rd. I mean, it's still moving up over 20 spots.
Dolphins taking cornerback Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. I actually like that pick for them. I think he's a good player. So kudos to them. But the Bills now are on the clock again.
Mm-hmm.
Trade back again. Bills are electric comes in and says trade down again. I would say trade down again. To me, here are the 1st rounders that I have. I shouldn't even say 1st rounders, but these are the guys who I'd be like, all right, if we took in the 1st round, Omar Cooper Jr. is on the board. Christian Miller, Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, Keldrick Falk, R. Mason Thomas, Jacob Rodriguez, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Denzel Boston. If you want to throw Denzel Boston in there, you can. If you want to throw CJ Allen in there, you can. I'm personally lower on them than others, but I know that other people like them a lot. ESPN's mocked Avian Terrell a lot.
I don't love that one, but
I would trade back again. I would.
I would
if you can find a taker. Slick Mungie says TJ Parker too. Yes, it's another one you could throw in there. Again, I'm not as high on. All right, Bills are on the clock. All right, Dave, make your prediction here.
My prediction is Peter Woods. My want is Caden McDonald.
All right, I'm gonna go. My prediction is Christian Miller. My want is Omar Cooper Jr.
Okay. And then it'll be TJ Parker. So
or Denzel Boston. Yeah. It'll be knowing the Bills, it'll be one of we talked about at the top of the show. Peter Woods, Keldrick Falk, TJ Parker, or Denzel Boston.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are like the 4 guys that we've kind of been staunchly anti.
And those feel like all like Brandon Bean type of picks just based on his history. So we'll see if he changes course a bit this year, because I think all of those guys would be Brandon Bean type picks.
Yeah. So if you look at it, Omar Cooper Jr. combine meeting, Christian Miller top 30 visit, Caden McDonald, Brandon Bean at Pro Day, R. Mason Thomas. We have one of his college coaches as our CB coach. Jacob Rodriguez combine visit. Who are some other guys that were Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, nothing. CJ Allen Zoom meeting. Denzel Boston, private workout.
Don't
TJ
want
Parker,
that.
nothing that I've seen. Peter Woods, nothing that I've seen. Keldrick Falk, nothing that I've seen.
Mhm. So maybe, and usually, right? If I'm remembering, almost all of our first round picks in the past several years have had some kind of meeting with the Bills.
Yeah.
So
Anthony Reinhardt coming in saying Houston makes the most expensive trade of the night, paying 7% above my historical benchmark. He does some kind of analytics, saying Houston overpaid a little bit, but hey, Houston paid a lot for Will Anderson, and they appreciated that too. Keelan Rutledge is a really good player. So kudos to Keelan Rutledge for going in the first round. By the way, he was my guy on the interior offensive line. And the other thing that's important to note too, we only have half the top 30 visits, by the way. We don't have the other half.
Yeah.
So Keldrick Falk, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, they could have top 30 the Buffalo Bills. We don't know. So waiting on it. The Bills are still on the clock. At least the pick is in on TV, on ESPN. There's a Taco Bell commercial, at least on my end right now.
And just from a film perspective, right, in this range, like Eric has been high on a guy like Peter Woods. Eric has been high on a guy like Jacob Rodriguez. Those are two players that Eric, from a film perspective, has been really kind of pounding the table for. I don't know if he's like pounding the table for him right here, but he has been, I would say,
another trade.
Oh, really?
Patriots.
What? Vrabel, he's there.
Or is the pick in? I'm very confused. The TV says the Dolphins pick is in. When did the Patriots pick? 31?
The Patriots are.
So the Bills and the Chiefs just got their picks in, maybe? Oh, no, the Bills traded the Patriots. The Bills are traded again. Double trade down, baby. Jay Clark, you are wrong. The Bills pick is not in. We have a double trade down. We have a double trade down. The Bills have traded with their division rivals, a team that went to the Super Bowl this year when they did not, the New England Patriots. Wow. So the Bills have made a second trade. Brandon Bean, you are earning your way back into my heart, buddy. You are earning, I did not think that this 31 and 125. You are earning your way back into my heart, buddy.
125. Is 125 a fourth? That's a fourth.
That is a fourth rounder, and we have pick 126 as well.
He loves the back-to-backs.
Yes. So to me, this is another great trade back. Was the refresh my memory, either Dave, you or someone in the comments section, was the Keon Coleman a double trade back? I know James Cook was a double trade back. Was Keon Coleman a double trade back?
No, single trade back. Yeah.
Because didn't we trade with the Chiefs and then we traded back again?
Oh.
It was a double trade back, wasn't it?
Yeah. You might be right.
All right. So the Keon Coleman double trade back did not work in our favor, but the James Cook one did. So we're just going to remember that one as the good one. So the Bills have traded back again. Greg and Aaron, you guys can chill. Don't worry. We got this. We got you covered. Kyle Knapp just texted our group chat. I'm getting Keon vibes again. My buddy just texted me. I don't like this one. How do you not like this?
The Pats take Lomu with their pick.
Yes. How do you not like this? They just took a guy who's not even on my Bill specific board. So now who's up after the Patriots?
So we got the Patriots. So right now, the Bills are now down at 31. So the Patriots just picked at 28, Caleb Lomu. Now we have the Chiefs, then the Niners, and then the Bills are on the clock. I
don't understand the issue.
So two. Well, I guess maybe trading behind the Chiefs. Like, we'll see what they do, right?
Take Denzel Boston, Kansas City. You know you want to.
No, they're going to take
Omar Cooper Jr. and Rashee Rice is kind of
they're going to take like Caden McDonald and like that.
That would mesh, right? Like they let Derek Nottie go and then they brought Derek Nottie back. They've had Mike.
This is right. Traded with Panthers because the Panthers had the first pick in the second round. That's correct.
So like Kansas City has had Mike Pennell. They've had Derek Nottie. So maybe you're right. They do go for like a souped up version of that nose tackle that they've constantly had in a Spags defense in a Caden McDonald. Leo Chenal is gone. Maybe they go Jake Golday to try to fill that fill those shoes. If they're looking to add an edge rusher, maybe an R. Mason Thomas.
So this is interesting now, right? Right. We've got the 31st pick. We've got the 5th pick in the 3rd round, right? And now we have 2 4th-round picks back to back, and we have 3 5th-round picks, 3 out of 4 in a row, and a 6th and a 7th. So as it stands right now,
Brandon B knew I was busy on Saturday and couldn't do it live, and he's just like, "We're gonna go ham."
Yeah. So as it stands right now, the Bills have 9 selections.
Hell yes,
including 2 4ths and 3 5ths. So they have 9 selections in the top. What is it? 160 or sorry, 7 selections in the top 168. So that's pretty good, right? 7 top 168 picks.
Hey, the guy that we thought the Bills were going to take is off the board to the Kansas City Chiefs, Peter Woods out of Clemson.
Well, there you go. So hopefully he doesn't turn out to be a stud because he was the one that I predicted. And we know Eric was high on him from the film. I think that's a good fit too for them though, next to Chris Jones. So
my 1, my 4, my 7, my 12, my 21, and my 23 are gone. Going by the San Francisco's now stands between us and our next pick. Omar Cooper Jr., which that's a San Francisco type pick right there. Essentially replacing Brandon Ayuk. Cooper Jr., Christian Miller, Caden McDonald, Jacob Rodriguez, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Keldrick Falk, D'Angelo Pons, R. Mason Thomas, Chase Basantich, Emmanuel Pregnon. Like that's if you're going down my list. And again, Denzel Boston's still available. Not high on my list, but high on others. CJ Allen's still available. Not high on my list, high on others.
Yeah. I mean, Peter Woods, honestly, like I know the Chiefs just picked him with the double trade down. I would have been fine with him at 31 now at this point. But Caden McDonald and Emmanuel McNeil Warren are both still on the board for me. So I'm hoping that we make a pick.
Let's go for 3 trades.
For 3 trades. I hope we make a pick tonight, man.
No, go for 3 trades, baby. Go for 3 trades.
You don't want any picks tonight.
No, we can still trade with Seattle.
Okay, yeah. We can move down one more spot.
No trades. Come on.
Give me 2 trade downs and Caden McDonald, as everyone's saying in the comment section. Give me that. That'd be fine. I'd be very happy with that and still get the guy I wanted to one of the guys I really wanted to take at 26 anyway. So McDonald doesn't really seem like a 49ers fit to me. So I mean, I'd say that now and watch them take him, but I don't know. That team, they run certainly more, they got Alfred Collins last year, so it just doesn't seem like they need a guy like that. And they drafted CJ West as well. So like they have some bigger body guys already. I wouldn't expect the Niners to take McDonald. So let's see what they do here.
I wonder too if Casey Concepcion going off the board to Cleveland sort of started this
Jets
trade. Who are the Jets? Everyone's trying to. So the Dolphins jumped the Bills for Chris Johnson, which I think is odd. I don't think the Bills were taking Chris Johnson. Maybe the Dolphins just really wanted Chris Johnson. And then now the Jets are trading up. So Omar Cooper Jr., the last time the Jets had like 5 picks in the first round, it worked out splendidly for them. Splendidly. I'm glad they're doing it again. So who do we think the Jets are? It's got to be Omar Cooper Jr., right?
I mean, you would think. Like, it seems, why would they jump in front of the Bills, right? Who are they jumping in front of the Bills to get?
Oh, so Omar Cooper Jr., Christian Miller, Caden McDonald, Keldrick Falk, Jacob Rodriguez, Manuel McNeil Warren, CJ Allen, Denzel Boston. Please be Denzel Boston. Please.
No, they're not going to take Boston. I guess unless they want to move AD into the slot, but like they have AD and Garrett Wilson, unless they want to put Garrett Wilson in the slot maybe and have Denzel Boston and AD on the outside and Garrett Wilson in the slot. That could be an option for them, but why not just take Omar Cooper Jr., right, and put him there? Yeah. So I don't know.
So the Jets so far, let me pull up the
Jets would have no reason to trade into this spot unless it was for a guy they thought the Bills were going to take, because the Jets had pick 33, right? So like,
you
why
would
would
have thought the same about the Dolphins, and the Dolphins traded up for Chris Johnson? Are the Bills really in the market for a corner more than we thought?
I don't know, but like, why would the
so
Jets
David,
have pick 33?
David Bailey and Kenyon Sadiq so far for the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting David Bailey, that nose tackle, replacing Quinton Williams in the middle of that defense, maybe with a Caden McDonald or Christian Miller.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, is there like a
it's just strange to move up from 33 to 30.
Omar Cooper Jr. to the Jets.
Okay. That makes
the wide receivers are off the board for the Bills.
Yep.
Like, I mean, again, unless you're taking Denzel Boston. So if you're the Bills, maybe.
Wait a minute. Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, part 2.
Well, that's
Jr.,
what I was.
Denzel Boston.
So that's what I'm just about to say, right? If you are a Bills fan, you thought to yourself, all right, Concepcion's off the board. We're fine. If we took Omar Cooper Jr. at 25, like we knew we were getting, like, now you got to get now because of the Jets, this is now back in your brain. Were the Bills finally going to do it? Were the Bills going to take a first-round wide receiver in Omar Cooper Jr., and now the New York Jets throw a wrench into all of that and jump up? That is something we are going to be left to wonder about. No matter what insider reports what, we are going to be left to think about, did the Jets intentionally jump the Bills because they knew they wanted Omar Cooper Jr.? Now, if I'm looking at my big board and I am going by my board, the pick here is Christian Miller. But right after him is Caden McDonald. Right after him is Jacob Rodriguez. Keldrick Falk, I think, could be in the mix as well. CJ Allen, Denzel Boston, Emmanuel.
Another trade down.
McNeil Warren. I'm team trade down again. Trade down again. There's so many names here that are so close to each other.
I want to pick McDonald right here. That's what I'm doing. I want
to trade back again. The Bills are picking. So the pick is in per draft diamonds.
Okay.
The Bills are picking here. So we are going to have someone to talk about in the next 5 minutes here. So now we anxiously await for the Buffalo Bills selection. I'm going to go following my board. The pick should be Christian Miller. I'm going to say it's Jacob Rodriguez. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to say it's TJ Parker. That's what I think is going to happen. It's not what I want to happen. It's going to be TJ Parker, but I want McDonald. I want McDonald or McNeil Warren. That's who I want.
The big 4 no-nos for us tonight were Peter Woods, who's off the board.
He wasn't even as big of a no-no as TJ Parker for me. Like, I would have
TJ Parker, Denzel Boston, and Keldrick Falk. Boston. It's not even to say we don't like any of these guys. It's not to say that. So the Bills are picking, right? I'm constantly refreshing here on Draft Diamonds page here to see if what we can get. But I like Jerry S comes in and says, rest assured, people will be upset.
That is 100. That is the truest thing that's been said all night. No matter what, someone is going to be ticked off. Multiple people are going to be ticked off. Like,
how many of your guys have been taken so far? Like from our My Guy show.
Casey's been taken.
And Mesidor, right?
And Mesidor, yeah.
And I've had Rutledge and Lawrence. So we're tied 2-2 right now.
We're tied.
And
I have 2 guys who are right on the cusp probably of being taken in McNeil Warren and McDonald. So yeah, let's see what happens here. But I'm
just constantly hitting refresh. Draft Diamonds, do me a solid. Announce this pick, baby. The Titans have traded up. But not with the Bills.
Oh, okay. With the Seahawks.
With the Seahawks.
Okay. Wow.
Or maybe I don't know. So the Bills trade again. Yes.
No.
Yes! No. The Bills are out of the first round, baby. We have done all of this for nothing. For the second time in 3 years, we have done all of this for nothing, baby. The Bills are out of the first round. They have traded with the Tennessee Titans. Wow. Brandon Beane master classing this and just rebuilding the depth of this roster. I like it. I like it.
He hasn't rebuilt. He hasn't rebuilt anything. Of course, he hasn't
picked.
He hasn't made any picks. He has not rebuilt anything yet. He has not made any picks.
Don't ruin it for me. A triple trade back. It'll be interesting here with this trade back, though. It'll be interesting to see if a 2027 pick is involved.
I mean, at this point, like, what are you doing? Like, give me a player, man. I want a player.
Bills trade 31, 69, and 165 for 35, 66, and 101. So they essentially move back 4 spots to move up 3 spots into the third round, 3 spots in the third round, and 64 spots in the fourth round.
Yeah, they get an early fourth, right? Like that's like 8 picks into the fourth round.
So this is Brandon Beane essentially saying, I got 10 guys graded within the margin of error.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what he's saying.
Guys in front of us do the work for me.
Pick 101 is the first pick in the fourth round. By the way.
So the Bills moved up in the third round by 3 spots. They moved up significantly in the fourth round. Oh, actually, that's the fifth round of the fourth round, isn't it? 165 to 101.
Yep.
That is fifth round. They have moved up from the fifth round to the fourth round.
Yep.
They have moved up 3 spots in the third round to the top, one of the top spots in the third round, 66, correct?
66 is the second pick in the third round, and they
now
also
we
have the first pick in the fourth round.
Yeah, so now we have the second pick in the third round, the first pick in the fourth round, and we are now picking with the third pick of the second round.
Yep, we have pick 35, right?
Bills are not picking tonight, baby. All 2,500 people in here.
And the picks.
Sorry.
The picks tomorrow, the Niners have the first pick in the second round tomorrow, and then the Cardinals have the second pick in the second round tomorrow. So,
and the Titans select Keldrick Folk, so that takes Kendrick Folk off the board for the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, and so what is that there's one more pick, right, in this round?
Yeah. So readjusting my board, the Bills are now how many picks away? Because we have Seahawks. And then we have 3 picks before us.
Yeah, so 4 picks away from our pick.
So going by my board here, Christian Miller, Caden McDonald, Jacob Rodriguez, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, D'Angelo Pons, R. Mason Thomas, Chase Basantis, Emmanuel Pregnon. Again, Denzel Boston and CJ Allen. Others are higher on them than I am. Traden Stukes, Zion Young, Gabe Yakus, Jeremy Bernard. This is the Buffalo Bills saying, we like our roster. We don't think this draft is going to get us a cornerstone. We are going to draft and we are going to solidify the depth and the solid starters on this roster. That is what Brandon Beane is saying right now. And it makes sense because if you look at this roster realistically, this is the thinnest roster this football team has had in a long while, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I think, and we said it's going to take a couple years to rebuild the defense, to like retool it into the new scheme. But now as you start to look at what the Bills have, right, they are going to have the third pick in the second round. They're going to have the second pick in the third round. They're going to have the first overall pick in the fourth round. They're also going to have the 25th and 26th picks in the fourth round. So they're going to have 3 fourths, including the first pick in the fourth. There's still some ammo there for them to maneuver up tomorrow if they choose to, right? So it could be, all those conversations we had leading up to the draft where it was like 26 and 91, right? And all the guys in between that we thought were going to be like not possible for the Bills to get. Now it almost seems like that is the crop of guys that we are going to get, and potentially maybe get multiple of those guys if they make even more moves tomorrow. So we have some ammo now to basically, I think, make, instead of picking at 26, like we're picking out 35, but that also potentially now gives us the option to having multiple picks tomorrow in addition to the ones that are already on the slate, right? So we have pick 35.
And we have three. I don't think this tweet is right from AJ Sibolski. He says the Bills picks after the trade down. No, I'm looking for an updated. What are picks? I think we just have 2 picks tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
Second
we have the
round
third pick in the second round and second pick in the third round, and then in the fourth round we have 3 picks.
Yeah, AJ's wrong here. We traded away 69 to get 66, so we have 35 and 66 tomorrow. So we have 2 picks to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 picks to talk about tomorrow, and then there's 3 fourth round picks, including the first pick in the fourth round. So it would not shock me if tomorrow we made 3 picks, because we have ammo to move back up tomorrow if we want to. So in that sort of 26 to 91 range, right? Like now we're talking about maybe the Bills at least are going to pick 2 guys, we think, and then maybe even a third guy if they want to move up again. So I think that could be a sweet spot for them to fill some contributing roles, right, on this team. In addition, in as opposed to say one guy that's going to contribute at pick 26, and then maybe another guy at 91 who's a later round pick or a late third. Now maybe you can get 2 to 3 guys that are all kind of in that realm.
And the first round has come to a close. The Seattle Seahawks take running back Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame to replace Kenneth Walker. So
nice
the first round has come to an end, and it is what time? 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
Did the NFL do something right for once?
Wow. It was a full hour shorter than it was last year.
That is incredible. So good job, National Football League. I know there are some people in the comment section, they stayed up late. They wanted the Bills to pick a guy. I understand. Like, I get it. But man, I didn't think the Bills would be able to trade back once. They traded back 3 times. So, hell, do it again from 35. Trade back again.
Yep.
By the time we're done tomorrow, all our picks are going to be in 2027.
I know.
No, but again, I think this is the thinnest the roster has been in quite some time. I think the Bills have a substantial need at. I'm going from top to bottom now. So I'm not listing and prioritizing in order. The Bills need, quite frankly, they're not set at backup quarterback. They are not set at wide receiver. They need to add another body there at least. They are not set along the offensive line. They could add at least one more body to compete, even though they have some veterans there. They are not set along the defensive line. They could use a nose and like a 4-eye 5 tech. So now we're up at 5 legitimate needs. They could use probably 2 linebackers, not even just one, probably 2 linebackers. So there's 7, another edge rusher, 8, a boundary corner, 9, a developmental safety, 10, a punter, 11, a return specialist, 12. Like, the Bills have needs. Like, this roster is not as deep as it has been in years past, where like, oh, this position. So to me, the Buffalo Bills are still in a great spot. When you look at it, I think the national media will tell you CJ Allen and Denzel Boston were the biggest surprises maybe tonight. Denzel Boston probably is the biggest national media surprise. Like, is there a name? Because again, outside of the positions the Buffalo Bills need, I don't have a list in front of me. Is there like a name that stands out to you as like, how did that guy not? Like, if you look at Lance Zierlein, Denzel Boston, and the corners, Jermon McCoy, Colton Hood, Anthony Hill Jr. But if you're looking at my big board, Christian Miller, Kane McDonald, R. Mason Thomas, Jacob Rodriguez, D'Angelo Pons, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Jeremy Bernard, Denzel Boston, Chris Bell, Chris Brazel, Chase Besantis, Emmanuel Pregnon, Lee Hunter, Grayson Halton, Zion Young, Gabe Yakus, Cassius Howell, TJ Parker, Kyle Lewis, Josiah Trotter, Jake Golday, CJ Allen, Anthony Hill Jr., Avion Terrell, Traden Stukes, AJ. Like, there was no need to draft in the first round tonight. None. You didn't need to do it.
And I will say, the Bills traded down 3 times, and that was exciting from like just for us as Bill. Like, there was no craziness in this first round tonight.
No craziness and no name where it's like, how dare you not draft? Maybe Omar Cooper Jr., but even then, I like Omar Cooper Jr. I question the fit a little bit with Shakir and Kincaid here. I question the fit a little bit. So, like, it was me being like, he's a really good player. I'm going to put him here this high on the board, but I do have my fit misgivings for him. So, but the Jets did jump us to take him. So that's going to be the one question I think that we're going to have to live with tonight. Did the Jets jump us for the guy we wanted?
We will, yeah, and we'll never probably know the answer to that. The only like saving grace is like, yes, it's annoying because like obviously we've had this situation before where like we've traded with a team. We didn't obviously trade with the Jets in this case, but like a team has picked a guy who a lot of fans liked at the same position where we felt like we needed. The silver lining, I think, is that he's going to the Jets, so it's like it's not like he's going to the Chiefs or the Bengals or the Chargers or someone that's like, you know, Ravens, someone like that, where it's like you're immediately worried. It's a nice pick for the Jets. I think the Jets had a really nice night tonight, to be honest, with City, Cooper, and Bailey. That's a really strong 3 picks, I think, for them.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the year they took Jermaine Johnson, and I can't remember who the other 2 were. It might have been Sauce Gardner that year and someone else. But it was a nice night for the Jets. I do think for the division overall, the Jets were the winners. The Dolphins, not so sure about what their plan is. And I do think the Bills got some. They bought themselves some. They got themselves some good value. There's some players on the board, probably like you said, that they were maybe going to consider picking at 26 that are still on the board. Yeah. And also they gave themselves some maneuverability tomorrow as well, right? They gave themselves a chance to move around the board tomorrow if there's guys that they really like in this sort of middle day 2 range that they felt like they obviously knew they couldn't get before because they didn't have a second rounder and a late third. Now they've given themselves a chance to move around the board tomorrow if they want to.
Buffalo Bills 83 comes in and says, this isn't a rebuilding year. Stop that nonsense. My question, like, here's my final, like, parting thought, right? And my question to you guys, who did we not take at 26 that would have made us a contender? Who did we not take at, what did we drop back to, 28? Mm-hmm. Who did we not take at 28 that would have made us a contender? Then we drop back to what, 31? Who did we not take at 31 that would have made, like, who did we pass on? Was it Omar Cooper Jr.? Like, who did we pass on in these 3 trade backs? Who's still on the board that could go in the 3 picks before us tomorrow? Where it's like, you made a huge mistake, guys, not collecting more picks in the middle rounds. You gave yourself more darts. As you mentioned, you gave yourself flexibility to get yourself a 3rd pick on day 2. Like, who did we pass on? Right? Someone says Thiemann. Thiemann was off the board. So, like, unless it's McNeil Warren, who did we pass on? There's no one in this draft that I am looking at except for maybe Omar Cooper Jr. And as I said, I question the fit, even though I like the player. There's not a single player, because I said it when the show started and I meant it, because there was no players that would have been on my big board that slipped to 26. So my big board held. And I said at the top of the show, if my big board holds, if I don't want to add anyone to this because somebody surprisingly slipped, if it's not Concepcion, trade back. Mm-hmm. Concepcion was off the board. Yep. They traded back. And then I looked and I'm like, there's like all these dudes in the same spot. Mm-hmm. Trade back. All these dudes in the same spot. Trade back. Who cares? Because we lost a 5th-year option. Like, to me, the Bills made the right move. They gave themselves more darts. As you mentioned, they gave themselves flexibility to trade up tomorrow. Mm-hmm. There's not a single name I can be like, I can't believe we didn't take that guy. There's not a single regret, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we're the 3rd pick tomorrow, right? So it's like we could end up being in a situation where the Bills pick someone at 35 that they would have taken at 26 anyway. And so if that's the case,
trade back for Skylar Bell.
Yeah, they could keep doing that, right?
Just trade back until it's acceptable to take Skylar Bell, and then you can pull a trigger.
Yeah, we have obviously some mixed opinions on this in the comment section. So,
all right,
we'll see you all tomorrow, I suppose.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us. I saw a couple people yelling about how loud I got late. I didn't eat dinner tonight, and because I live on the West Coast, so this was a 5 p.m. start for me, and I had 3 Blue Moons. So don't hold my noise level against me tonight. I apologize if I got a little too loud into the microphone. But appreciate you guys. We'll be back at it tomorrow. The Bills have 2 picks. Who knows? Maybe they trade back again or trade up and gather a 3rd pick. And then I believe our boy Colin's going to be live on Saturday. I'll try to duck in when I can as well. But I got some work responsibilities on Saturday. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. For those of you who stayed with us the entire 3+ hours, you're ballers. Appreciate you. You're the VIPs. You're the real ones. For those of you who joined us late for the Bills pick, we totally understand. The Sabres were playing. Sorry the Bills didn't pick, but we have a lot to look forward to tomorrow. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you as always. And until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Thank you for watching tonight's episode of the Air Raid Hour. Make sure to hit that like button on the way out. If you are catching the show on demand, leave a reply in the comment section and we will respond over the course of the week. You can always listen to every episode next day on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, by searching Air Raid Buffalo. Thank you for your continued support, and as always, go Bills!